From trusted insider to hunted fugitive, they took revenge on the system that betrayed me. Their cruel plan to keep me silent backfired, and now they fear the Chost they created? I never saw it coming. 10 years of loyalty, and she threw it all away for a cheap thrill. They think they can silence me, keep me under control like a puppet, but I'm not a fool. I've been planning my escape for months, every detail locked in place. Now, they're the ones running scared. My revenge isn't just personal, it's the endgame. They took everything from me, and now it's my turn. I will burn their world down piece by piece until nothing remains but ashes. I don't know why the Kenny Rogers song popped into my head at that moment, but it did. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. I couldn't recall the next line, but it didn't really matter. I had already given up and left, and counting my money had never been important to me. Now I was on a Tennessee highway waiting for the patrol officer to come back. I wasn't sure what would happen next. I didn't care about the consequences of the situation. I was done with it all, and I hardly cared about my path or what I would do next. I heard him approach my open driver's side window talking on his phone. "Yes sir, I got that. I'm sure this is the guy." "Yes sir, he has his driver's license and federal ID, and his car has the White House parking sticker on it. If it's not him, he stole the car, and I'll take him in. Here, talk to him." He held the phone in front of me. "Who is it, a local or someone important? He's my boss. And if you don't help out, we're both in big trouble. Don't worry about it, those guys only know how to intimidate." I took the phone and said, "Why are you bothering this person? He's just doing his job like you told him to. If you're in trouble, take responsibility and do what you should have done from the start. Now what do you want? Listen up. You have half the country looking for you because the president wants to talk. So don't mess with me, or you'll end up in a difficult place by morning. Forget you. Send your best agent here and take me in, I don't care. Then you can explain to the president why I'm in this situation. Look, when the important people call, I pay attention. I know where the butter is on my toast. Make your own butter and bread, and you won't have to worry about anyone. Just be quiet. I'm sending someone to meet you, and you will talk on the phone whether you like it or not. Okay. Let Officer Jenkins take a break for a bit. We're going to the truck stop to grab some food. Tell your guy I'll be there." "Sure thing. Just tell Jenkins to wait with you until someone else takes over. Have a good night." I ended the call and gave the phone back to Jenkins. "You heard me. Show me the best truck stop on this highway, and then you can take a break until your replacement arrives." "Yes, sir." He looked relieved that he didn't have to deal with the pressure anymore. I followed him down the road to a smaller truck stop across from a bigger one. As we stepped outside, he said, "The food is better here than over there, thanks. You can always trust a police officer or a truck driver when it comes to food on the highway. They know their stuff." We sat down and ordered our meals. I chose a big breakfast, and he picked their special. The great thing about truck stops is that they serve food all day long. Truck drivers don't worry about when to eat. I wanted breakfast even though it was 9 at night. While we enjoyed our meal, we chatted about small things. He was a local guy who wanted to make his community better. I felt for him and didn't discourage him even though I was feeling tired. We were sipping our coffee when another officer came over and told Jenkins it was time to end his shift. Jenkins thanked me for dinner and left. The other officer was a bit nicer and asked me to come with him. I took a deep breath, let it out, and followed him after giving the waitress a nice tip. She had been kind and deserved a treat. He took me outside to a black limousine and stood quietly as the back door opened. I got in feeling a bit hesitant. Once my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I leaned back and said, "Hi Sylvia, I didn't expect to see you here." "Hi Stuart, I wasn't sent, I just happened to be nearby." "You caused quite a scene up there today." "Yeah. I've been struggling for a while now. I guess I've hit my lowest point." I had a feeling. "Do you want a drink before we call?" "Sure, a scotch would be nice." She took out a bottle of average scotch and poured me a drink. "Where do you plan to go, Stuart?" "Honestly, I have no idea. Washington is on the East Coast. What would be the farthest I could go from there? Maybe Alaska or Hawaii, but I don't think you'd fit well in either place. How about Washington or Oregon? If you want some time alone, consider going to Montana. I'm not keen on being alone, but a place without phones or the internet sounds amazing." She smiled. "You left in a hurry. Is there anything you need me to handle?" "I have a tab at the pub near my apartment. It's probably under $100. Nothing else matters. I'll take care of it." "Sylvia, why are you still working? I thought you were about to burn out." "I was, but moving to the Department of the Interior has helped me. Now I just need to keep an eye on how much the national parks spend. They've mostly forgotten about me. I hope they forget about me too." "They won't. You know too much. Don't remind me. Knowing the truth doesn't set you free, it just adds weight around your neck. So what's the plan?" "Just keep my name out of it. You need to make the call and say what they want to hear." I already said what they needed, but they didn't take it. They just wanted more. I don't know what else to say. That's why I left. I can't help you much then. I hate to say it, but it looks like you're on your own. How long do you think I have? I can give you about a day. After that, I'm not sure. I can also share a few names and addresses if you need. I'd like that. Let's get this done. I want to be on the road in an hour. Okay? She grabbed a phone I recognized as a secure satellite phone and pressed a few buttons, then she handed it to me. Just remember, I'm not here. I nodded and took the phone. I knew the process and waited for the operator to answer. Name and access code? I provided the details and waited. Please hold. Then the line went silent. A moment later, a voice came through and asked, "Who do you want to talk to?" "Mother," I answered. "One moment," the voice said. Then another person asked, "Please give me your name and access code." I shared my details and now the real conversation would start. I heard a click, and then the familiar voice was on the line. I knew what to expect, and it was just as I thought. He sounded calm and confident. His voice had strength, but didn't show any feelings. Many thought he was charming, but I saw through that. He was just pretending to be in charge. "Hello, Stuart. I hear we might have a problem." "You don't have a problem. I do, so don't worry too much about it." "That's good to hear. Get over it. I want you back here in 72 hours. I need your help to get ready for my speech in Congress. You have Mandy for your makeup and Chet for your hair. I'm sure Felicity has a suit and tie that fits what you need, so why do you need me? Stuart, you know you are the best planner and writer here. I need you to help me write a great speech." "Sorry, Mitchell, I have run out of clever words and excuses. Why not just tell the truth this time?" "Stuart, I can't do that. Some people wouldn't like it." "Mitchell, maybe you should ask Santa for some courage this Christmas. You've been too afraid to speak up for years. Call me when you find some." "Stuart, that's not fair. I see things as they are, and I do what is necessary to keep this country safe. You do what you can to make sure the powerful people keep their wealth in control. You are really good at flattering others, or maybe follower is a better word. Listen, Stuart. I can overlook that comment, but others may not. I think you should reconnect with the group and do what you're good at. Maybe they will forgive you. People are worried. Tell them to keep their opinions to themselves. I don't care about their worries just like they don't care about mine. This sudden outburst about what's right doesn't suit you, Stuart. You were much better when you were being practical, and you were better when you acted brave. Now you can't even connect with your own wife. She's become close to someone else. There was a time when your wife respected you and you respected yourself. That's enough, Stuart. Jennifer has changed and become sensible. Please stop criticizing her. I'm hanging up. You have 48 hours to calm down and come back." The call ended. I handed the heavy phone back to Sylvia. She smiled and said, "That was quite a show. I hope you live long enough to do it again." "I don't want to do it again, Sylvia. I just want to leave. Don't we all? I made a small mistake and got through it. You made a big mistake, and I'm not sure you will get through. So are you really not going back?" "No way. Where will you go?" "Maybe Washington, Oregon, or Montana. I'll figure it out when I arrive." "You do know you're not welcome anywhere official now, right?" "I know the drill. I need to move fast. I need a drink, a place to sleep, and a good meal before they come after me. Good luck, Stuart. I'll be thinking about you." As I opened the door of the limo, she slipped an envelope from her purse and put it in my hand. I didn't say a word or draw attention to it. I just folded it and put it in my pocket. I read it when I was by myself, and then got rid of it to keep Sylvia safe. Even if everything else was fake, we in the group tried to look out for each other because no one else would. We were players in a game we couldn't control. I stepped outside and without looking at the guard in the stiff uniform, headed to my truck and drove back onto the highway. In just 10 minutes I figured out a plan. He said I had 48 hours, so I needed to be mostly hidden in 24 to be safe. It would take them a few hours to gather their team, so I basically had until dawn to start disappearing. I thought I could manage that unless something got in my way. My first stop was 50 miles down the road, and that's where I was going. At the next rest area, I stopped just long enough to throw my cell phone in the trash. I knew my signal could be tracked no matter where I was. I made sure to leave all my electronic devices that could be tracked behind. I stored everything else on flash drives and had a simple laptop waiting for me at my new place. Unlike others who thought the journey would never end, I knew I needed to be ready for anything to go wrong. So I carefully made an escape plan that I hoped would work. In 2 weeks, Stuart Michaels would be forgotten, and Roger Fender would take his place. An hour later, I turned onto a small road and drove about 15 miles before I reached a dirt path that led to what looked like an old barn. Once I arrived, I parked my truck in the woods where it wouldn't be noticed. Then I walked back about 100 yards to the barn. It seemed abandoned and empty just as I had left it a month ago. I opened the secret door on the side and walked down the ramp to what used to be the manure dump for the dairy farm a long time ago. Inside was my plain old Ford pickup from the 90s. It had some door dings and a dent in the tailgate. In any town west of the Mississippi, it would look like many other trucks and wouldn't catch anyone's eye. The truck was registered to a name that wasn't real and was paid for in cash. It was parked with a few important things I would need for my journey. The truck only needed to run for a few thousand miles, and I had made sure the mechanic would fix it up. I figured it would be about a week before someone found it. That was the time I needed to start my disappearance. I quickly changed out of my suit, leaving it in a pile of junk in the corner except for the envelope from Sylvia. I put on a pair of jeans and a western shirt I had bought at a thrift store in Missouri during my last visit there. The other bags looked just as I thought they would. I started the engine and drove the truck up the ramp, then stopped to lock the door behind me. As I headed down the dusty road, I knew I had nothing on me that could be connected to Stuart Michaels. Soon, Roger Fender would show up in person. Until then, I was just a regular person. Sylvia mentioned Washington, Oregon, and Montana. That meant I needed to avoid those places. It was a way of giving a hint about where I should stay away from. But it didn't matter because I already had a plan for the next couple of weeks. I didn't get back on the main highway, but took the smaller road for 30 miles, then picked up a state highway that led into Mississippi. So far, everything was going as planned, and I should reach my next stop in time for breakfast. As the sun began to rise behind me, I drove into the small river town that was my next stop. I drove around checking for anyone who might be looking for me, but only saw a few early risers on their way to work. Feeling safe for now, I parked in the diner lot, put on my cowboy hat from the thrift store, and went inside. A friendly waitress welcomed me and let me pick my table. I chose a spot by the window so I could keep an eye on the road. I ordered my second breakfast in just 8 hours, and enjoyed this one much more than the last. After eating, I felt satisfied and ready to move on to the next step of my plan. I drove to the marina shop and saw my 40-foot boat waiting by the dock. The boat was registered to Roger Fender and had been nicely updated inside. The outside looked like a typical workboat on the river, but that didn't bother me as long as the inside was cozy. I bought this boat 6 months ago for a very low price. It had been damaged by one of the strong storms that hit our area now and then, and ended up stuck on a sandbar with water in it. I spent a good amount of money putting in a new diesel engine and other parts. After all the work I did, I ended up spending about the same as a brand new 30-foot boat would cost. But my boat feels more solid and has more space, which was important since I plan to live on it for at least 6 months. I wanted it to be comfortable. Plus it has a common look on the rivers, so it wouldn't attract much attention, which I liked. I paid the shop in cash in different amounts. The largest payment was for the engine and transmission, and I used a special check from a small bank in Virginia that I had set up for Roger Fender. Once I got the check, I closed the account. I smiled as I walked in to say hello to the shop owner, a friendly man named Marquette. He remembered me and happily led me to the boat to show off his work. He had done a really good job, and I was pleased with it. He had taken the boat on the river a few times and found it strong and ready for my trip, just as I'd requested. When he gave me the keys, I mentioned that I would buy supplies and pack them that night. I planned to leave at sunrise the next morning. He thought that sounded like a good idea. The gate would stay open until 8 at night and would open again at 6 in the morning. I shook his hand and drove to the local boat store to buy a few things I still needed. After that, I went to the storage yard, hooked up the covered trailer I had rented, and drove it to the grocery store. An hour later, I loaded 8 bags of groceries, 3 cases of beer, a case of wine, and a case of scotch into the back of the truck. I parked at the dock and started unloading my trailer and truck. The shore power kept the refrigerator cold and the freezer ready for the meat I had bought. I packed everything else just like I had planned. After I finished, I returned the trailer to the rental place and paid what I owed in cash. They were happy to have my business. Next, I drove the truck back to the storage yard and parked it in the back. 10 minutes later, I took off the Tennessee license plates and put on the new Louisiana ones. I disconnected the battery, locked it up, and covered it with a tarp, making sure it was secured. Hopefully, it would be ready for me in 3 months when I came back for it. After that, I walked the 1.5 miles back to the marina, stopping at the diner for a late lunch. When I stepped inside my new cabin, I thought about everything I had done. I realized that there would be many ways for people to find me. I hoped I had hidden my actions well enough so that people would forget them. I wasn't very important, but I knew things that could embarrass others or impact their jobs. That made people nervous no matter what I meant to do. I just wanted to be left alone. I poured myself a drink and went to sit on the deck of my boat. I turned on the satellite radio to find some good music. I was about to pour another drink when Marcia walked up to the boat and said, "Roger, can I talk to you for a moment?" I almost didn't answer because it was the first time anyone had called me Roger. "Oh, hi, sure, come on aboard. I was just lost in thought." He stepped onto the deck and stood by the steps. That's when I noticed a young woman standing nearby. She seemed a bit anxious. Marquise looked back at her and said, "Come on, miss. This is the person I told you about. Roger, this is Emily. She has a problem that maybe you can help with. Come on in, Emily. I'm friendly. She stepped down and entered the small space. Roger, Emily is in a bit of trouble. She was on a trip down the waterway with her boyfriend and some friends, but he got upset and left her here. Her bag and purse are still on his boat. They were heading to Mobile, so she is stuck here. Since you're going that way, could she get a ride? She thinks she can get her things back when she catches up with them. If not, she can call her dad, and he can send her some money to get back to St. Louis. Can you take her with you for a couple of days? My mind raced as I considered the situation. On one hand, people would likely expect me to travel alone, not with someone younger, but I actually planned to go north to St. Louis, and I decided to travel back down the Mississippi River instead of going to Mobile. I was worried about maintaining my new identity, but I thought it could be good practice. Overall, I felt it was a chance with little risk. I believe we can figure something out. Emily, why don't you sit down? We can talk for a bit and see how to handle this. Thanks, Roger. This kind of thing happens sometimes, especially with college students. We don't have other ways to travel except by road or the river. I'll leave you two to talk and check back later. He went back up to the dock, and I turned to Emily as she looked me over. Please have a seat, Emily. Would you like a drink to help calm you down? I can imagine this must feel quite frightening for you. Thank you, she replied. A drink would be nice, she said. I opened a bottle and poured her a glass of cold white wine, then took it to the cockpit for her. She took a sip of the drink and seemed to relax a bit. Thank you. I've never been stuck like this before. My dad and uncle and aunt are out of town until next week, so I can't reach them. I thought I would be safe with this guy, but when he got upset, he just pulled up here and told me to get off the boat. He wouldn't even let me take my purse or bag. How old are you, Emily? Are you a student? I asked. Yes, I'm 20 and just finished my second year at Washington University in St. Louis. I live in Columbia, Missouri. That sounds great. Let me tell you a bit about myself. I used to own a business, but I sold it. Now I've taken some time off to travel. I bought this boat, and I don't really have a clear plan, just a desire to go somewhere new and see what I can find. I want to assure you that I'm not a bad person or anything like that. You can listen to the music I enjoy, and I try to keep my life simple. Do you have a wife or girlfriend who might mind if I came along? No. I have been so busy with my work that I haven't had much time for dating. She smiled for the first time. How can I help? I cook pretty well. I may not know a lot about boats, but I'm willing to do whatever you need. If you can cook, that would be great. I'm mostly used to quick meals like opening a can and heating it, but I don't have a microwave on the boat. I would love to help with that. I want to feel like I'm contributing during our journey. When do you plan to set off? Tomorrow at sunrise. I have some experience with smaller boats, but this one is bigger. I wanted to take the boat out for the first time and spend the whole day getting used to it. I plan for us to stop at a dock each night or anchor somewhere along the way. How does that sound to you? That sounds great. Oh no, if he left you without your things, that means you only have what you're wearing right now, right? She flushed and nodded. Finish your drink, and then we can walk to the store on the boat and get you a few things to wear. I need to pick up a few things too. I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm offering. If you want, you can pay me back when you get home. I'm not worried about it. So no arguing. Let's go get what we need. She finished her drink and stood up. I stepped onto the dock and offered her my hand to help her up. That's when I noticed she was about 8 inches shorter than my 6-foot frame, and she had a really sweet look about her. I knew I had to focus on our trip and keep things simple while we traveled. I didn't want to create any complications. We walked across the street to the store and spent an hour picking out items. She chose 4 pairs of shorts and blouses, but decided not to buy any extra clothing. I suggested she get a big straw hat to protect her from the sun. We also grabbed some sunscreen, sunglasses, a couple of gloves that fit her hands, and a pair of sandals and sneakers. I picked up 3 more towels and another blanket. I realized our sleeping situation might be tricky since I only had one decent sleeping spot and a small bed that folds down near the steering area. When we got back, I said, "Let me show you around and see what you think." I opened the cabin door and led her inside. "Oh, this is really nice in here. Did you do all of this work?" "No. I had it done. I plan to stay here for a few months, so I want to ensure it's comfortable. I will fix up the outside bit by bit. Here is the kitchen and living room. The bathroom and shower are in here. This is the sleeping area. You can sleep here, and I'll take the cot in the back. I won't take your bed. I'll use the cot. I don't think that cot is very comfy. Then we can share the bed. We can put a pillow between us if that makes you feel better. We'll try it, but I'm not sure that's a good idea. We'll see how it goes. Now are you ready for me to start making dinner? Let's check what I have. I got a lot of groceries. If you notice anything missing, I can go get more." She looked through the fridge and spoke softly to herself. "Do you have a grill, or should I cook everything inside?" "I have a grill. I just need to set it up." "Great. Let's grill these steaks with a salad and baked potatoes. How does that sound?" "It sounds better than anything I could think of." Then you set up the grill while I get the potatoes ready. They'll take a bit over an hour. Would you like a scotch or a glass of wine? A scotch would be great. Help yourself to what you like, make yourself comfortable. Looks like we will be living together for a while. Alright, roomie. Step out of my kitchen and go play with your stuff. Oh, I see, the roommate from hell. We both laughed. I went outside to get the stainless steel grill from the shed, then I attached it to the place that was ready for it. Once the grill was set up, I connected the propane tank and lit it so it could warm up and start working. It functioned perfectly. I would keep it stored until we needed it while we were going down the river. When I was done, Emily was waiting for me with a scotch in her hand and a smile on her face. She had a glass of juice, and we settled into the 2 comfy chairs in the cockpit. We raised our glasses to each other, starting what we hoped would be a fun sailing adventure. I was thinking about how nice she looked when she said, "I bet you're curious about how I ended up here, right? You don't have to share if you don't want to." "I trust you," I replied. "I trust you too, and that's why I want to explain. I don't want you to see me in a bad light." I mentioned that this guy was my boyfriend, but that's not really the case. I've been seeing him for a couple of months, but I didn't think of him as my boyfriend. He was also seeing other girls. Still, he treated me well. His family has money, and he took me to some nice places. As the semester was ending, he invited me on a river trip with him, his roommate, and his girlfriend. The 4 of us were planning to go to Mobile and stay on the beach for a few days. After that, I would fly back to sign up for summer school. I thought it would be a nice break. I told my dad, and he agreed as long as I trusted the guy I was going with. I didn't have any reason to doubt him, so I said yes. That sounds fair, but I guess things changed quickly. Yes. They did. When I arrived at the dock, he told me that his roommate's girlfriend had broken up with him, so he brought a few other friends along instead. They were all guys, of course. I thought about backing out, but he assured me that everything would be fine, so I decided to go with them. This was the first time he had taken the boat out on his own. It was his father's boat, and he had permission to use it, but he had never really been the captain for a long trip before. The first 2 days went well, and he got to know the others. They seemed fine at first, but they drank beer all day and stayed pretty intoxicated. Then this morning one of them mentioned that I would be sharing a room with the group for the rest of the trip. I expressed that I was uncomfortable with that arrangement. He asked, "What did you expect?" I felt frustrated and requested to be dropped off at the next stop, and that's what happened. I guess I was naive. No, I think you were misled. There is a big difference between being naive and being taken advantage of. I learned that the hard way as well. You are safe now, and everything will be okay. Thank you. I feel really fortunate that you were here and chose to help me. I might be getting the better end of things since I won't have to eat my own cooking. But let's take a step back. When do you need to be back in St. Louis for summer school? We might be in a bit of a hurry. I need to be back in St. Louis by Louis planned to register on Wednesday, and classes would start on Thursday. I figured we'd need 4 full days to reach Mobile. This means you might need to fly back late Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning. If we run into bad weather or delays, you could get back later than planned. I initially thought about going back to St. Louis and then traveling down the Mississippi River. That could get us back by Monday night or Tuesday morning. What do you think? I would like to try to go to Mobile if that's okay with you. I hope I can meet up with them on the way there or when we arrive and get my things back. I will be fine without them, but it would make things easier if I could retrieve my purse. It has my ID and phone in it. Okay. Then we will travel down the river and see if we can get it back for you. When should we put the stakes on? In about 10 minutes. Do you want another drink? I'll wait and have some wine with dinner. Okay. She went back inside, and he finished his drink. Hey Roger, did you and Emily come to an agreement? Marquette was on the dock holding several ropes. Yes, we did. She cooks, and I navigate the boat. It's a great deal. Good. I was hoping you could assist her. I don't fully trust most of the other boats. Also, I don't know if you heard, but a strong storm is coming tonight. It should arrive around 9 and pass by midnight. I'm adding some extra ropes to the other boats just to be safe. Here are a couple of ropes for you. You might want to change the ones on the port side and add these on the starboard side. That way you should be secure during the storm. Thanks. I'll take care of that now. And unless there are any problems, we'll leave at dawn tomorrow. Just be cautious of any debris in the river. We never know what might be out there in the morning. We'll watch out, thanks. I checked the ropes again, and we were now floating in the middle of the slip with some space on both sides to keep us steady. Once I was done, Emily walked up with a plate of meat. What's happening? The owner stopped by and said there's going to be a storm tonight. I tied the boat up again so it will be safe during the storm. Are you sure that will work? Trust me. Have I ever told you something wrong before? Not in the last 8 hours, she smiled. It's time to cook the meat, grill master. I'll have you know it has been at least 8.5 hours since I lied to you. And I like being called Mr. Good grief. Come on, little boy. Mom needs to get the steaks cooked. Mom might need a little reminder. We can talk about that after you burn the steaks. Hurry up. The potatoes will be ready soon. Are we eating outside or inside? I like it out here unless it starts to rain. Good idea. She went back inside, and I put the steaks on the grill. Suddenly, mosquitoes came buzzing around me and the grill. I quickly ran inside and sprayed some bug spray on my arms and neck. Change of plans. We can eat inside or the mosquitoes will eat us. Got it. Let me know when you need the plate. I went back outside and managed to cook the steaks without too many bites. I called for the plate and Emily handed it to me. I got the steaks onto the plate and brought them inside with just a few mosquitoes following. We sat at the table and enjoyed our first meal together, raising our glasses to celebrate. We decided to have dinner inside since the sun was starting to go down. The mosquitoes were still not too bad early in the evening. We agreed to eat a bigger lunch and a smaller dinner. After we finished, I turned on the TV to check the weather. We caught the end of the national news before the local news started. They were talking about a breaking story where one of the president's top helpers had gone missing while traveling west. The last place he was heard from was Tennessee, and they said more news would come soon. I knew I was right. I really only had about 24 hours. Luckily, things worked out and my plans were still on track. After dinner, Emily started washing the dishes and jokingly suggested I should get a dishwasher. I told her I already had a really good one. She playfully tossed a sponge at me. I then made sure all the doors were closed tightly and checked the lines again. Once I was happy everything was in order, I went back to the lounge and saw that Emily had made coffee for both of us. I sat down in one of the captain's seats and heard the first sound of thunder far away. I knew we would lose the TV signal and many radio stations, so I put some CDs in the player and turned on some music. This seemed like a good choice, and I suggested we go to bed early to wait out the storm. She agreed that it was a great idea. I went to the cabin and took out a long football jersey, leaving it on the bunk for her to wear. She went to the back and came out a few minutes later wearing it. It was so big it nearly reached her knees and two of her could fit inside it. But she smiled and said it was just right. As the thunder got louder, we moved into the cabin and got into bed. I left a small light on in the hallway in case we needed it. I was lying on my back, looking up when Emily turned to her side to face me. Roger, I'm not really comfortable with storms. They make me a little scared. Can I cuddle up with you for a bit if it gets bad? She asked. I reached out and wrapped my arm around her shoulders. She settled in close, resting her head on my chest and whispered, "Thank you." The thunder got louder and the wind picked up, but we stayed cozy in bed and soon fell asleep, feeling safe despite the noise outside. I was really tired, and I guessed she was too. In the morning, everything was quiet when I woke up. At first I had to remember where I was, but it was easy to know who was lying next to me. She was still curled up in my arms sleeping soundly. I felt bad waking her up, but I really needed to go to the bathroom. I slipped out quietly and went to the bathroom, then put on a pair of shorts and a shirt. Late spring mornings after a storm can be a little chilly. I walked into the kitchen and started the coffee maker. As I was about to put the coffee into the basket, I heard Emily's voice from the hallway. "What are you doing?" "I'm trying to remember if I should use 5 scoops of coffee for each cup of water, or if it's the other way around." "You are hopeless. Just leave my kitchen. I'll handle it." "Why didn't you wake me up?" "Why do people always ask that when the answer is clear?" "You were asleep, that's why. You're such a guy. Go outside and fight a sea monster or stop some troublemakers or something." "I don't do that until I have my coffee." She spoke softly. "Thank you for being there for me last night. I wasn't even scared of the storm. You made me feel safe." "You're welcome. I really liked having you beside me, but I won't say that because you might think I'm a strange old guy." "You mean you're not?" "Well, I'm not old. Not yet. Go check for any problems. I'll get you coffee in a minute." "Okay, sure. Now that, I could get used to. That dishwasher can wait." "Is there something wrong with you? I thought you looked just fine. You can't see much with this long coat on." "I have a good imagination. I can imagine you do. Now go." I did what I was told. I stepped outside and saw that everything was all right. I turned on the radio and learned that the worst of the storm had been about 10 miles away, and there were no reports of any boats being damaged or stuck in the waterway. The sky was starting to brighten, but the sun was still hidden, and it seemed like it would be a wonderful day to begin my new journey. I was looking out over the back of the boat at some branches floating down the river, when a cup of coffee suddenly appeared in front of me. The arm holding it was connected to someone pressing against my back. Even though I knew this moment would only last a couple of days, I couldn't think of a better way to wake up than with a lovely companion right beside me, enjoying a hot cup of coffee on this beautiful morning. This was the kind of life I wanted, not waking up at all hours to figure out why the people in charge were making mistakes. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "I can't tell you. It would make you blush." "You were thinking about me, weren't you?" "Was I? Just say it. I can handle it." I let out a playful sigh and replied, "You asked for it." "Do you really think about yourself that way?" I didn't notice. Her playful hit on my arm was strong and surprising. "Yes, I do. And you noticed last night? I saw you looking. Now turn around and you can see it as much as you want." I turned around and noticed that she had put on the new shorts we bought. They really showed off her style. She had also worn one of the new blouses, but only fastened a few buttons. "Do you like it?" If I'm honest, I might get in trouble for what I'm thinking. That doesn't sound like a nice compliment, but I'll take it. At least I know you're still alive. Believe me, I feel a bit tired. Now do you want to leave and grab breakfast on the way, or would you like to eat first? I'm curious about you feeling tired, but I guess you're not going to tell me. So how about some toast and fruit now and something more filling later? Are you reading my mind? This is exactly how I want to start my day, but I've never been able to. You just need a lovely woman like me to make things interesting. That's all, don't tease me. She laughed as she went back into the kitchen. I wasn't sure if she was being serious or just joking, but I knew that as delightful as her company was, it could also lead to complications for both of us. She returned with a plate of toast and jelly along with some grapes and sliced apples. We ate quickly, then I started to check off my to-do list. The first task was to unplug the power from the shore and start the generator. Once that was running and power was back on the boat, I started the engine, and it ran smoothly. I tossed the spring lines onto the dock and carefully shifted the boat into reverse for the first time, backing it out slowly. Most of my earlier experience had been with larger powerboats about 30 feet long. I just needed to get used to how powerful this boat was and the extra length it had, and then I felt like I'd be fine. The big change was that the main controls were on top of the cabin, so I had a much clearer view of everything around me compared to the usual controls at deck level. I shifted the boat into drive and gently pressed the throttle. I could feel the boat glide smoothly through the water. Marquette had explained that these boats are built to be steady in different working conditions. They are strong, but they aren't meant to go fast all the time. He advised me to keep a steady speed for better fuel efficiency and to let the boat do its job without overthinking how to handle it. Once we left the bayou and entered the waterway, I started to see what he meant. The boat stayed on course nicely, but it didn't turn sharply. I realized I had to think ahead and plan my moves carefully. At the start of our trip, things were pretty easy. The waterway had mostly long smooth turns, but once we reached the natural river, I knew I had to pay more attention to sandbars and tighter turns. I was sure I would get the hang of it by then. Emily brought 2 travel mugs filled with coffee that fit perfectly on the console. She took a look at the map and figured out where we were, then began marking our journey with a wipe-off marker. Even though she didn't have much boat experience, she knew how to read maps well. "What are you studying in school, Emily? You seem to know a lot about maps." She smiled. "I started out majoring in geology to work in the oil industry. But during my first year, I took a geography class and found it really interesting. Then I took a cartography class this year, and it amazed me. So now I'm thinking about focusing on those subjects for my degrees." I never knew that making maps was still an important job. I thought maps just existed and were fixed until someone decided to update them from time to time. But I learned that there is a big need for all kinds of maps because circumstances change all the time. So I think I will switch my studies to map making this semester. Not many people seem interested in geography and maps these days. I can tell you from my own experience that having updated maps and information about places is very important. I once faced a bit of a predicament because I used an inaccurate map. That's exactly my point. I learned last year that the best way to use a map is to mark important spots and take notes as you go. The next time you travel this way, even if things have changed, you'll still know where you are and what to expect. You've just become the official navigator as well as the cook and dishwasher. How about we take turns washing the dishes, Mr. Captain, sir? Do you know what happens if you upset the captain? Yes. But that is what pirates do. You might be a troublemaker, but you aren't a pirate. Ahoy, matey. But I've been thinking about becoming one, a daring pirate with an eye patch and stories to tell. Nice try, but you're not quite the swashbuckler type. Plus you only have 1 lady, not 2. I'll just take another one on my journey. No way, that's not going to happen. Are you arguing with the captain again? There won't be an argument, Captain. The boss has made a decision, caught by my own trick. You don't even know what a trick is, and it's hoisted by one's own petard. Whatever, now a coffee refill will make the captain happy. Oh, we must keep the captain happy, right? She sure is fun. She went back down to the kitchen and I took a long look through the binoculars. I noticed something odd in the distance, but I couldn't tell what it was. I checked the map and figured it was about 10 miles from where we started, right at a bend in the waterway. I decided to slow down as we got closer to the bend, just in case there was something blocking our way. Emily returned 5 minutes later with our coffee refills. Look straight ahead through the binoculars and tell me what you see. She gazed down the river for a few moments and then exclaimed, "Oh no! What's wrong? That looks like that guy's boat, and it seems like he's stuck on a sandbar or an island or something. Well, let's get your things back and see if we can help them." What if we just leave that boat? We could do that, but I don't think you'd look as nice in those circumstances as you do right now. Another silly compliment. I appreciate it. But listen, he can be nice sometimes, but he can also be rude. Be ready for either one. I know the type well. Hold the steering while I get the fenders ready. She took hold of the wheel, and I told her to keep going straight since I had slowed the engine. I placed 3 fenders out. When I looked up, I saw 4 guys standing at the back of the boat waving at us. They all seemed to be holding drinks. I steered the boat closer to them and stopped the engine for a moment, making sure we were about 2 feet away. Using a pole, I kept us steady next to them. Emily stood tall with her hands on her hips, staring at the leader of the group of 4. Hey everyone! Look what the rescue boat brought back. Looks like she decided to join us. Are you ready to say sorry? Not a chance, Emily shot back. I don't care, come on man. Help us out and get us off this sandbar. We dropped anchor here yesterday, and the storm broke our engine. My dad will pay you a lot to get us off this sandbar. I looked at him and replied as calmly as I could. I'm not a rescue boat, and I don't want your dad's money. I just want Emily's purse and bag back, forget it. You take us to the marina, or I'll toss her stuff in the water. If you throw her things in the water, I'll make sure you regret it. Who do you think you are? Just me, tough guy. Now I'm going to give you a choice, and let's see how smart you really are. He laughed. I'd love to see that. I played football and could crush you like a bug. And I was in the Navy. I've seen people who could take you down in no time. Now stop talking and listen. He paused for a moment, unsure. First, you can hand over Emily's things nicely, and I'll go back to the marina and send a boat to help you and your money. You're just pretending. There weren't any SEALs in Afghanistan. There weren't any SEALs in Pakistan either, you know. So what's the other option? I can go back to the marina and tell the river patrol that you're stuck here, and that I heard a woman scream. Then you can explain to them why there are Emily's things on your dad's boat with no Emily around. I'm sure your dad can help you out in a month or 2, but I think he might be getting tired of bailing you out. So what's it gonna be? He paused for a moment and then turned to one of the guys. Jimbo, grab our things and give them to him. Jimbo opened his mouth to protest, but he said, just do it. Come on. He's crazy enough to call the river patrol, and we don't want them poking around the boat. Jimbo hurried below deck, and the guy looked back at me and said, this isn't finished. What's your name? Farley Parkenfarker. Make sure you tell your dad everything that happened because I will, and I think Emily will support me. It might be best for you to forget about me and Emily. Jimbo came back and handed Emily her purse and small suitcase. I asked, is everything in there, Emily? Yes. All the important stuff is there. It will take us about an hour to get back to the marina, and then it might take them about the same time to reach us. Enjoy your beer, but make sure your credit card is ready. If not, your dad might have to buy his own boat back. Leave me alone, you jerk. I pushed us away from the dock and we drifted down the river. I climbed back up and turned the throttle to head back upstream. I could feel the current slowing us, so I moved closer to the shore where it was easier to navigate. Emily went below deck and returned with a soda and a sandwich. She stood quietly next to me. The tension was slowly fading, and I could see that she wanted to say something. What's on your mind, Emily? You look like you want to speak. She smiled at me appreciatively. Thank you. I can't find better words to show you how much I appreciate what you did. I really hope that Jeff listens to you and leaves you alone. His dad is a powerful man and could cause you trouble. Out of curiosity, what's Jeff's full name and who is his dad? He is Jefferson Martin III, and his father is Senator Jefferson Martin II, one of the least helpful people in Congress. With surprise in her voice, she asked, you know him? He is quite a powerful man. I met him once at a fundraiser. If there's someone who can talk in circles, he's the best example. The saying, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree, fits here. I wasn't lying about the senator, but he could make things hard for me if his son found out who I really was. The senator might not do much himself, but the tough guys working for the businesses that owned him were not friendly. Don't worry. I think the senator has bigger issues to deal with than a guy who raised his voice at his son. Emily stopped for a moment and then asked, were you really a SEAL in Afghanistan? Yes and no. I was a SEAL, but I wasn't based in Afghanistan. I visited a couple of times, and before you ask more about it, I'd rather you didn't. I have some painful memories from there that I want to keep hidden. Okay? I won't ask again. What do we do next? We've got your things back. How about we just head back to St. Louis? Can you help us get to registration on time? You're the captain. I'll follow your lead. She leaned her head on my shoulder. But you're in charge? Not anymore. At least not outside the kitchen. Emily, what we shared before was enjoyable and I liked it. You don't have to change for me. I liked how you joked with me. I haven't had that kind of fun in a long time, especially from a woman. My past doesn't matter for my present or future. Just be yourself and keep teasing me if you want. If you go too far, I'll let you know. It's just that I see you differently now. I'm still the same. You just got a glimpse of my past. Yesterday and this morning you saw who I am now. There's more to me than what you've seen, but I am 12 years older than you, and have gone through more in life. I see you as a bright and amazing woman. I think you might have a few secrets of your own, but they don't worry me. She laughed softly. I won't tell you anything. Great. Surprise me. So after we ask Marquette to send a boat back for your friend, what do you want to do on the way back to St. Louis? She playfully hit my arm. He wasn't my boyfriend before, and he's not a friend now. I'll just store him away in my list of bad memories. It might be better to just forget him entirely and move on. Okay. He's forgotten. For the rest of the trip, I want to cook for you and see you smile. I want to enjoy some sunshine, but then you might stare at me, and I'd have to gently push you away. Also, I want you to teach me how to steer this boat. Can you do that? The smile and the boat part will be easy. The hard part will be keeping my focus. You don't like how I look? No, I didn't say that at all. I just meant it will be tough to concentrate in front of you. Maybe that's what I want you to do. You like to tease. You said you enjoy my teasing. Stuck by my own silly words. She laughed and playfully nudged me. Then she whispered, Don't try to be a pirate with me, or I'll have to give you a little smack, mister. I'll have you know there's nothing little about me. I noticed, but it would still be funny to see you over my knee. Watch out. Paybacks can be tough. Oh, the captain threatens his crew. I'm so scared. As we got closer to the marina, I called Marquette on the radio. Hey Roger, I thought you'd be 50 miles downriver by now. Are you having a problem? No problems. I thought I would send you some work. I always like more work, my friend. The guys who left Emily with you are stuck on a sandbar about 10 miles downriver with a broken engine. They were too reckless to check the weather before the storm came. I told them we would send a rescue boat. Ah, yes. I try to forget the days when I was young and foolish. I will send the boat, charge them double. The reckless one likes to show off his dad's money, and I bet his dad won't even care about the extra cost. I could hear his Cajun smile through the radio. I know these kinds of men, and I'm very happy to take their money when I cash their checks. Did you get all of Emily's things back? Yes. We did, but you might want to be careful while towing. I believe there are some things on that boat they would prefer to keep hidden. Yes. My cousin in River Patrol mentioned a rumor about some special items going downstream this week. Maybe he should check the papers for this boat to make sure everything is okay. That could be interesting, but it might also cause some trouble for you and him. His father is a well-known figure. That's even better. Fathers often want to keep their children out of trouble and will pay well to protect their image. I see you understand the situation perfectly. Have a nice journey ahead, my friend. Stop by when you are back in the area. I will do that. I put down the radio and turned to see that Emily had changed into her swimsuit, though I wondered if it was really suitable for water. She smiled at me and asked, What do you think? Is this style okay for the day? This is the first time I've worn this. Do you think it will make it easier or harder for you to look at me? I can't really say because you might not like my answer. I can think of several ways to tease you. I'm going to get a little sun, and then you can teach me more about driving this boat. I'm not sure about the boat, but you will definitely keep things interesting. That's my plan. Just make sure you don't hit that barge coming toward us. She went back down to the cockpit and lay on a towel. I looked up and saw a barge moving down the river heading straight for us. There was enough room to turn and let it pass, so I made the change. As we went by, I sounded the horn to say hello. He replied with 2 beeps. I looked up and saw the pilot smiling and pointing toward the cockpit. When I looked over, Emily was lying on her stomach in a relaxed pose. I gave the pilot a loud whistle, making a sound like a ship's horn. He waved back and I waved too. After we passed each other safely, I called out to her, Congratulations. You have made 2 men crazy this morning. She rolled onto her back and smiled at me. I only care about one of them. Please put on some clothes and come up for your first lesson. When she joined me, I noticed she had put on her blouse, which she had tied loosely just below her chest. I could tell she was really going to make things interesting before we got to St. Louis. I went over the controls with her and explained that she should avoid quick moves and instead make slow ones while we anticipated what was ahead. I got down on the floor and stretched. I checked all the equipment to make sure everything was working well. It was just past noon, so I went to the kitchen and warmed up a can of beef stew. I added some fresh bell peppers, onions, and a few spices to improve the flavor. Once it was ready, I took 2 bowls to the steering station and put one in front of Emily. She looked at me and smiled. I thought you couldn't cook. I didn't cook it, I just warmed it up and added a few things to make it tastier. How are things going? Good, it works just like you said. Great. The tricky part is when we need to dock or anchor the boat. We'll do that later. I can take over now so you can have your lunch. We switched places, and she ate quietly. Then she asked, Am I bothering you too much? No, not really. I'm just not used to someone being this close to me. Have you had a girlfriend or something like that recently? Not really. I've gone out with a few women, but that's about it. I haven't really spent time getting to know anyone. What kind of woman do you want to meet? I had to pause and think about it since I had never really considered what my ideal woman would be like. I suppose I'm not sure. I know I like smart women who support me and let me help them too. I want someone who enjoys exploring and isn't caught up in trends and fads. I guess I want a woman who is fun to be around but also serious when it comes to work. That's a bit unclear, but it's the best I can think of, I said. So she doesn't need to fit a certain image? She laughed as she said this. No. I actually appreciate a woman of any size and any hair color. I just want a car that works most of the time. What matters more to me is that she is real and genuine. I'm tired of people who are all show and no substance. I don't expect a woman to be perfect because I'm not a perfect man either. If she accepts me for who I am, I will do the same for her. So what do you want in a man? I think I want the same things in a man that you want in a woman. I grew up in a nice home, and that makes me feel comfortable. We bought things because we needed them, and we chose things that would last. My dad drives an older car and doesn't try to show off. As for me, I've had a few boyfriends, but nothing too serious. Most guys find it amusing when I mention I aspire to be a geologist. Now that I'm into maps and related subjects, they just find it funny. I want a man who is strong when he needs to be, and easygoing the rest of the time. I don't need a superhero or a famous person. I just want a man who will love me and support me in my dreams because that's what I want to do for him too. Sounds like we could make a great couple. That's what I thought when you shared what you wanted. Are you open to dating someone younger? I'm 32. I'm not sure I could relate to a 16-year-old, and I wouldn't really know how to connect with someone over 50. Other than that, age matters to me about as much as hair color. It's part of what attracts people to each other, but it's not the most important thing. I'd say it's only about a 2 out of 10. So there's a chance for me? I could hear the excitement in her voice. Think of it this way. Out of all the women I've met since leaving the Navy, you're in my top 5. What happened to the other 4? 3 were married, and 1 faced some tough problems and moved far away. So you were interested in married women? No. I haven't knowingly been involved with anyone who was married. I just got to know 3 women well enough to see we could connect, but they were already taken. We never discussed whether I would fit into their lives. And what about the other one? She was unique. We didn't work directly together, but we did collaborate on several projects and got along really well. We shared meals a few times. Unfortunately, she ended up in a difficult situation that required her to leave town. She landed on her feet, but she still finds it hard to trust people. When did you last talk to her? I saw her 4 days ago for about 20 minutes. Do you still care about her? I care about her as a friend and want to help her. Yes. We never moved past that, and I don't think we will. That's too bad. It seems like you and she could have had something special, maybe. Maybe not. It's tough to look at someone and guess what might happen next. We can only see what today brings. Tomorrow is always uncertain. I learned that while I was in the military. So where are you headed and what will you do now? You ask a lot of questions for someone who is so curious. I'm not just curious. I am a young woman, that's all. She felt a bit shy as she spoke up for herself. I can't really say for sure. I chose to take some time off to figure things out. That's why I bought this boat. I want to see the Mississippi River and maybe travel down the Texas coast. Along the way, I hope to discover what I want to do when I grow up. Maybe I'll be a country singer, or just a simple person living in a small town. That's about the best answer I can give you. I couldn't tell her that I mostly said those things just to make people forget I was there, since I might cause them trouble. You wouldn't do well as a town person who drinks a lot, and I'm not sure how well you can sing. But I can't picture you in a bright shirt playing a guitar and singing sad songs about lost love or unfaithful partners. You're probably right. Now, Miss Navigator, do you want to look at the map and find a place for us to stay the night? I don't remember any towns or marinas along this part of the river. You're right. There's a place about 15 miles ahead. I think we stop there on our way down. It's a safe bay and has a nice beach. That sounds perfect. I'll let you know when we get close, and I'll teach you how to tie this thing up for the night. She smiled and headed down to the kitchen area. As I sat there by myself, I thought about the day we had and our conversation. I felt a strange mix of emotions that I didn't quite understand. On one hand, I was with a woman who made me feel really good about myself, and showed me that the future I had dreamed of could actually happen. She had not been touched by some of the tough parts of life, like climbing down a rope at dawn in a foreign place, and not knowing if the meal you ate earlier would be your last. She didn't realize that some powerful people could become so disconnected that all they cared about was keeping a lifeless idea alive through constant support from others' hard work and money. She didn't know that the man she was teasing was not who he claimed to be. He was actually running away to find a place to hide. Thinking about this made me feel heavy again. I needed to take her back to her safe life and keep her away from these dark experiences. She would face her own fears in time, but I hoped she would never see those eyes. They never seemed to leave me alone for long. I could see them just as clearly today as I did 10 years ago. Those eyes that smiled with mischief, challenging me to oppose his power. Today, those eyes looked out from a younger face, one that was much lighter in color instead of the dark bearded face I remembered. I realized I had seen this same look just that morning on a young fool who didn't even know how to take care of himself yet, but the eyes were the same, showing the same mockery and disdain for me and everyone else. The face might change, but the eyes remained the same. They were owned by a cold man who had too much power and control. He would cause just as much trouble and destruction as the man with the beard in Afghanistan. I felt a chill at the idea, and just hoped that Emily would find a safe place away from people like Jefferson Martin III in the future. I started to shake, knowing I needed more than a couple of drinks to feel better tonight. That thought kept me feeling on edge. About an hour later, I had calmed down a bit when Emily came back and handed me a drink. "It's almost time for us to get to our destination, so tell me, Captain, how do I park this thing?" I couldn't help but smile. She had a way of making me forget my troubling thoughts even if just for a moment. "We have about a mile to go before we arrive. I'm not sure what we'll find when we get there, but we need to face into the wind for the night. If the water is deeper than 2 or 3 feet, we can get close to the shore and maybe secure the boat to a tree or something. If not, we need to stay farther from the shore. Let's drop the front anchor to keep us in place. Then I will drop the back anchor, and maybe one in the middle if the wind is strong." "Which way is the wind blowing?" "It's coming from the west, so we should go into the bay and turn west." "How can we find out how deep the water is?" I checked the map, but it didn't provide that information. "We will enter the bay slowly and observe the color of the water. If it looks light, it might be too shallow, but if it's darker, we are likely deep enough. We can try it slowly. If we get too close to the sand or mud, we can still back out. If we go too fast, we might risk getting stuck. A lot of this is just getting used to the local area. You learn as you go. Here's the entrance. Are we going too fast?" "No. This speed is just right. Where did you stop your boat the other night?" "He just came into the middle of the bay and dropped the anchor." "That makes sense. He's fortunate he got stuck on the sandbar. If he had gone further, he might have damaged his father's boat. Let's head to the far shore and make a loop around the bay while I take a look." She turned the boat in a curve around the bay as I monitored the shore and the water. The main area with the beach appeared shallow, but both sides were deeper. The sandbars helped protect the small bay. I pointed out a place for her to go on the south side and instructed her to put the engine in reverse to stop us from moving forward. Then I moved to the front to drop the anchor. It caught quickly, and I threw out the back anchor, and it held fast too. I shouted for her to turn off the engine, and suddenly we were wrapped in quiet, which felt really nice at that moment. I took a rope and walked over to the shore. I tied it to a big tree. She stood by the side of the boat and watched me. "Why did you do that? I thought you were going to use an anchor on the side." "This is just a safety line. Right now we are facing the wind. As long as it stays like this, the anchors will keep us steady. But if the wind changes direction, which it often does here in spring and summer, we might drift towards the middle of the bay if the anchors aren't secure. This rope will help us stay close to this spot no matter what the wind does. But we need to pay attention to the weather and check the forecast." That seems like a lot to remember. It's not too bad. Once you learn how to sail on a river, you can do it almost anywhere in the world. Rivers are pretty similar. They all flow downhill towards the ocean. In most places, the wind tends to blow in similar ways during each season. When you're on a boat, you want to make sure the front of the boat faces the wind. This helps reduce the wind hitting the sides of the boat. You also need to find good spots to drop your anchor so it stays in place. And it's smart to add an extra line just in case the conditions change. On rivers, there are clear dangers like fast water and waterfalls. The Mississippi River is known for changing a lot, moving sandbars around. You have to pay close attention when you are sailing on it. Some of these ideas work for ocean sailing too, but the ocean has more variable currents and changing weather. The key thing is to check the weather often and be aware of when unfavorable weather might come. You make it sound so easy. Well, it is simple in a way. It's not really easy, but it is based on common sense and a bit of knowledge. You will learn. I hope so. Do you want to come to the beach for a walk? Let me grab my shoes and no, come on, I can carry you. You're not that heavy. She smiled and replied, "For that nice comment, I'll let you carry me. But if you drop me in the water, you'll regret it." "I'm really scared of you," I joked. I was a little nervous, but mostly thinking about how nice it felt to hold her close, even briefly. She stepped onto the back of the boat, and I gently picked her up. She wrapped her arms around my neck, and for those few steps, it felt like she belonged there. I didn't want to put her down, but I thought I should, so I carefully set her feet back on the ground. She touched the sand, but kept holding onto my neck. She smiled and said, "Thank you, kind sir." Then she let go of me, but took my hand as we began to walk along the narrow beach. The difference between a river beach and an ocean beach is that a river beach usually has only some debris washed up. while an ocean beach might have interesting items from far away. This beach was just like that. It looked like a small area had been made for boaters to enjoy. We walked past several old campfire spots and bits of trash. Even with the mess, I felt good walking next to Emily. We talked about her school and her dreams. They seemed simple yet very important to her. I hoped she would achieve her dreams as she saw them, but a part of me worried that the busy world around her might turn her dreams into something boring. But right now, I enjoyed being around her happy energy. As we walked back to the boat, I asked, "So, are you going to carry me to the boat this time? I liked it more when you picked me up and took me away into the sunset." "Oh, so this time, I should carry you to the boat so you can make dinner. I just love the romance in you. When will you show it more? It's just a shy little puppy hiding away. Come on, carry me like you really mean it." I picked her up in my arms and set her down on the platform. She balanced herself with her arms around my neck and looked at me smiling, saying, "Yes, just like that." She pulled me closer and smiled at me again before she stepped back into the cockpit and walked toward the cabin. As I climbed onto the platform, I noticed how she walked away from me. I felt a mix of emotions, but deep down, I knew this was how it had to be. She needed to leave, and I had to steer the boat south and move on. I could sense others watching us. When I arrived at the cabin, she had a drink ready for me while she started making dinner in the small kitchen. I wanted to watch her, but I decided to turn on the television to check the weather. I was happy to see that nothing major was expected for at least a week. This gave me time to take her back to St. Louis, before heading further south. Not long after, she brought us each a plate of chicken with rice and green olives. It tasted amazing. She told me she had once eaten something similar at a Moroccan restaurant and had loved it. She had tried different ingredients until she created a dish that reminded her of that meal. I was happy she was there because I couldn't handle this alone very often. After we finished eating, we watched the movie for the night, which was the Harrison Ford version of The Fugitive. She decided to sit comfortably beside me, and it felt really nice. However, the movie's story made me feel uneasy as the good guys chased after the bad guy. I had 2 more drinks and realized that I might not sleep well later. When the movie ended, she smiled at me and said, "It's time to go to bed, Captain. Please play some soft music while I get the bed ready." "Emily, I think I might have a hard time sleeping tonight. Maybe it's best if I sleep out here and not disturb you." "Don't be silly. You're sleeping in your bed tonight. You kept me safe from the storm last night." "I will keep you safe tonight. Come on, don't argue with me." She stood up and encouraged me to join her. There was something about her that made me listen, so I followed her to the bed. Even though I was worried, she gently urged me to get ready for bed. I didn't want to look at her, so I closed my eyes. As soon as I did, the eyes came back, and I started shaking. I barely noticed her settle in next to me, wrapping her arm under my neck and the other around my chest as she lay behind me. I lost track of time that night, sweating and making sounds, maybe even crying out. I saw the eyes and a sly smile. I thought about the line of young girls. I heard the loud noises of explosions, but I always came back to those eyes. They haunted me and teased me. They searched for me and wouldn't stop until they found me again. At some point, I must have finally fallen asleep. The next thing I noticed was the sunlight coming through the small window and hitting my face. I started to turn away when I realized I was in Emily's arms. "You're not going anywhere, darling. I'm here to keep you safe." Her hand gently touched my chest as she held me closer. "Emily, I'm sorry. I should have slept on the cot or somewhere else." "No. You were exactly where you needed to be. I don't know what you were going through, but it must have been awful. I think it was something from your time in Afghanistan, the way you were talking and yelling. It's okay now. I was here, and I kept you safe. I'm not sure I'll ever feel truly safe again. You just haven't had someone watching out for you before. Now you do. Emily, just relax. We have things to do." I felt her hand move gently down my chest. Her hand touched me softly, and I quickly felt a rush of warmth. I began to say something, but then she offered a reassuring smile that stopped my words. A moment later, I felt her close to me, and I wanted to share that closeness. She drew me in, holding me tightly. I lost track of time as we shared that moment, feeling connected in a way that was comforting. I realized she was guiding us, and she seemed to know what I needed. With a soft sigh, I felt a wave of emotion come over me, and I expressed it quietly. Tears came to my eyes, and she gently wiped them away as they fell. Finally, we were quiet together. "Emily, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have treated you that way." She looked up at me, her expression curious. "What do you mean by that, Captain?" I guess I lost control and I don't really know." "Well, I do. You didn't use me. I made my own choices. I wanted to be close to you while you were trying hard not to reach out. It was different when we were together. I felt incredible. It was better than anything I've felt before. I may be younger and less experienced, but I think I understand you better than you think. The next time we're together, I want you to fully embrace that moment. I know you have your own struggles, but remember, I'm here for you when we are together, don't forget that." Then she smiled at me warmly. "So what were you saying? I think you understand all of this better than I do. You explain. I don't know much about you beyond what you've shared with me. All I know is you have a history, and I am not part of that. I want to be your present, and be close to you until you feel differently. You mentioned I was one of the top 5 women you felt good about. Right now I want you to know that I think I'm a great partner for you. It's really that simple." I playfully tapped her arm. "What was that for? You will never just be a partner to me. If you want me to be yours, I will accept you fully because you are a wonderful woman. And I really enjoy our time together. That's how I feel. Take it or leave it. I'll take it. Now we need to get moving, but I hope you want to be close to me every night and morning and whenever you like until we reach St. Louis. After that, we can figure things out when we arrive. How does that sound?" "It sounds amazing to me, but I'm not sure what you'll get from it. You men really don't get it, do you? Besides the enjoyment we have together, I will get to know a really interesting man who can teach me a lot. Plus he makes me feel good about myself, and safe. There are only 2 other men I feel as safe with as I do with you, and those are my father and uncle. So are you going to hold me close again or get this boat moving on the river?" Decisions. Decisions. Always something to choose. I playfully rolled her onto her back, and we enjoyed more time together for another hour. She expressed her joy several times, and I was happy just to be with her. All that mattered was the woman in my arms feeling the happiness we shared. Making her smile was all I wanted. As she lay there glowing after we finished, she whispered something that I couldn't quite catch. "Repeat." She pulled me close so I could hear her better and said, "Don't tell anyone this. I care about you." "Did you hear me, Captain?" "Yes, ma'am. I heard you loud and clear." "Good. Now don't say it back to me until you really mean it. Go get us out of this swamp. I'll fix us breakfast. You drive a tough deal and you can be tough too." I gently pulled away. "I need help with the anchors. Can you give me a hand before you start on breakfast?" Just like a man, he needs a woman's help, but won't admit it until there's work to do. "Start the engine, and I'll be up in a minute." I quickly put on some shorts and got the engine and generator running. Then I climbed out, untied the line, and brought it back on board. When I returned to the steering station, I felt arms wrap around me. What should I do? I turned around and saw Emily smiling brightly. "You're not dressed." "Well, the only person here to see is you, and I like it when you look, you silly old man." I know. You're not old, forget it." "Certainly. Here's a revised version of the text, ensuring that all inappropriate content has been removed while maintaining the essence of the story." "What should I do?" "When I'm at the back of the boat, put it in reverse, but don't push the gas too much. That will let the line loosen, and I can pull it up by hand. Then I'll move to the front, put it in gear, and go slowly forward. I'll pull the big anchor up as you move us ahead. By the time we're over it, it should be loose and will come right up. Then just turn towards the center and out into the waterway." She nodded, and I went to the back of the boat. 5 minutes later, the anchors were up, and I returned to the steering wheel to take over. As she started walking toward the steps to go down, I took her arm and pulled her closer to me. I smiled and said, "You are an incredible partner. Finally, I get a nice compliment." "Thank you, my dear. You have a wonderful skill set." She smiled at me and went below deck as I steered us toward the calmer side of the river to avoid the strong current. A few minutes later, we passed a party boat and a very large barge moving down the river. After about 20 minutes, Emily came back up wearing one of my long sleeveless shirts. It was buttoned halfway down, and I wondered about her comfort. She had a plate of scrambled eggs and sausage with 2 biscuits and jelly for me. "Thank you. By the way, do you like that shirt?" "I do. I told you that I'm here for you whenever you want me, and I want to be ready when you call." She smiled at me. "I think it looks great on you." "I'm glad you think so. It feels nice to wear. As long as you're okay with it, I'll wear it when we go through towns or near other boats. Consider it yours." "Did you have breakfast yet?" "I had a little while I made yours. I'll eat when you're done." I enjoyed my meal while it was still warm. Emily stood next to me, keeping one hand on the wheel while I ate. When I finished, she leaned closer and smiled. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm gonna have my breakfast now. Just focus on the river." Then she began enjoying her meal, smiling as she did so. When she was done, she stood up and said, "That was even better than I expected. You can count on this happening more." "Is this really the first time you've done that?" "Yes, it is. I promised myself that I wouldn't get too close with anyone until I found someone I truly love. Once I find that person, I would be ready to share wonderful experiences together. So now we've discovered one more thing we can enjoy. Was I good enough for you? You were amazing." "Shh. Just focus on me and how you feel," I replied. "I'm really focused on you. You make me feel so loved. It's almost overwhelming." I leaned closer, sharing a gentle moment with her. She kept her hand on my head, and we enjoyed the tender connection we had. "I love you so much," she said softly, and then she fell asleep. I was glad she did because I was ready to join her, I had never felt so excited and happy as I did with her. I turned onto my side, pulled her close, and held her tightly. Even while she was asleep, I whispered in her ear, "I love you," and drifted off to sleep with her in my arms. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. The smell of coffee filled the air, and I saw a young woman beside my bed holding a cup. "Why are you standing there with coffee? You should be in bed with me enjoying yours too," I asked. She smiled brightly. "I feel so great this morning. I didn't know what to do, so I made coffee." "Then grab your cup and come to bed with me. I can think of many fun things we can do together." "Yes, of course." She placed my cup down and went to get hers. I scooted to the center of the bed and made space for her to cuddle up beside me. She snuggled in close and rested her head on my shoulder. "I guess you liked last night." She gave a gentle kiss to my chest and ran her hand over my stomach. My aunt mentioned it, but I wasn't ready for how amazing it would be. I've never felt so alive and excited like that before. "I think you enjoy spending time together, don't you?" "Yes. For me, it's a very special way to show care for someone when she appreciates it." "You mean some women don't like it?" she asked, surprised. "Absolutely. Many men won't do it, and some women are not comfortable with it. I've never been with anyone who got as into it as you did." "Really? Do you like to do that often?" I smiled. "With you, I enjoy that and almost everything else whenever you want. Is it okay if I ask you for that sometimes?" "Yes. And if you don't ask, just feel free to express what you want. You can move closer if you want, or you can have your way while I do the same. And if you'd like, just tell me to carry on. You don't have to call it that." "I know. It's just Roger. I haven't been with many guys. Just one in high school and 3 in college, and 2 of those weren't very exciting. My aunt told me a lot about these things, but she advised me to wait for the right guy. She says that when the right person comes along, everything will feel easy and natural, and it will be great." And she was right. "You talked about your dad, uncle, and aunt. What about your mother?" "She passed away when I was 7. My dad took care of me during the school year, but he often had to travel, so I stayed with my uncle and aunt. My aunt is like a second mother to me. She's really nice, and so are my dad and uncle." "Tell me about them." "My dad and Uncle Tom are twin brothers. They both served in the Navy. Uncle Tom was a Navy SEAL, and my dad worked in intelligence. My mom and aunt were also in the Navy. My mom was a nurse and Aunt Carla worked in their legal office. The Navy even helped her go through law school. Mom and Dad met and got married in Virginia. Uncle Tom and Carla met and married in California. After getting married, Mom and Dad moved back to Missouri. Mom worked as a nurse while Dad went to graduate school. Carla and Uncle Tom stayed in Virginia after they finished their service, but they all got together 3 or 4 times a year. When Mom passed away, they decided to move to St. Louis to be closer to Dad and me. So I mostly grew up during the school year in Columbia and spent summers in St. Louis, unless all 4 of us went on a trip together. So what do they all do? Dad is a history teacher at the university. He teaches about military history, but focuses on naval history. That's why he travels during the summers. He goes to places I can't go. He has written several books about naval history. Aunt Carla is still a lawyer, and she works a lot with government contracts and similar things. Uncle Tom is a police officer. What about your family? There's not much to say. I grew up in East Texas, and my parents were teachers. They died in a car accident when I was 16. I don't have any brothers or sisters. I think I have 1 or 2 aunts, but I'm not sure. My high school coach and his wife took care of me until I finished school. Then I joined the Navy, and later the SEALs. I thought I would make it my career, but that didn't happen. After I left the service, I went to college with the Navy support in Virginia and started my business there. Now I feel a bit lost, just looking for a place to settle down and start something new. Do you know what you want to do next? Yes, I do. I want to be close to you. And what's holding you back? You know how it is. I need to get to know you better and show you that I really mean it. Then I need to spend time with you being gentle and caring. It's a lot of effort. That got me a playful punch on the arm. You're stubborn. I'll handle the first part and you won't need to do anything. She did a fantastic job with her part. But I couldn't help myself from getting involved too. I made sure to keep my hands busy while she did the same for me. This morning, I enjoyed being close to her while she focused on me. As excitement built between us, she said, "Let's try it a different way." I've never done it like that. She shifted positions and I joined her. She started to make soft sounds, and I felt a connection grow as we shared the moment together. A couple of times, I gently touched her in a meaningful way, and she reacted strongly each time. When I tried to do it again, she said, "Let's finish together. You're amazing." I replied, "So are you," as I felt a rush of joy. After we both caught our breath, she said, "I like that too. We can do it that way anytime you want. Is there anything you don't like?" "I don't like being touched in a way that feels disrespectful or feeling undervalued. With you, I can't think of anything I wouldn't like. You just make me feel important. That's because you are important." "Thank you. Now why don't you pretend to be the captain again while I make your breakfast?" We should be back in St. Louis tomorrow afternoon or early the morning after. When she said that, it struck me. These lovely days were about to end. I really didn't want them to finish, but I couldn't see how they could go on. My heart felt heavy as I got dressed and went to the helm after starting the engine and untying the lines. The river, which had started to feel like a path to happiness, suddenly seemed like just a wet road to nowhere. It felt like a sign when a cloud passed overhead and hid the sun. But when Emily came back with my breakfast, the cloud moved away and the sun shone bright again. What's with the frown, Captain? Honestly, it's not a big deal. I was just thinking about how close we are to getting you home. Our trip is almost done. So you're going to miss me? I've never felt this way about anyone before. Just thinking about you not being around makes me really sad. Good. Keep that feeling in mind until we get back. I need to make some plans and then we can talk about the summer. Are you joking with me? You deserve it, but no, I'm serious. I just have a few things to take care of when we get back. You can stay for a few days, right? I don't have anywhere special to go right away, but I don't want to stick around too long. I guess I could work on the boat for a couple of days. Great. I can show you a marina where you can dock and stay. Is that the same place where your old friend keeps his boat? No, and he wasn't my boyfriend. I didn't let him get too close. I might have if he hadn't acted so badly right after we left. Aunt Carla told me to take things slow, and I'm glad I listened. You didn't take it slow with me because you're different. You showed me you care first, and you keep making me think about you. Good. Aunt Carla said to keep you guessing. I need to have a talk with your Aunt Carla. You will, and also with Dad and Uncle Tom. I'm in big trouble. They will team up against me. I hope so. Now, Captain, I have some things to take care of. Don't come near me unless you want to get close. I told you. I know. You can get close to me or share a special moment, whatever you want to call it. She took my plate and went back below. All I could do was shake my head and try to figure out how to escape without feeling foolish. An hour later I decided to take a boat down the river for a couple of weeks. Then I would come back and stay for a few days before heading back up the river. I planned to do this until school started in the fall. My goal was to keep moving and not stay in one place for too long. I thought that maybe in a year, I wouldn't be of much concern to anyone, and I could think about settling down in one spot, a place just for me. I also imagined having a partner and maybe a child. But as soon as that thought appeared, I pushed it aside, along with my other dreams for someday. The rest of the day went well, and I enjoyed our time together. As we traveled up the river to St. Louis, she asked me to steer into a channel on the south side of the city. This led us to a marina about half a mile inland. The place wasn't too fancy, but it had sturdy docks and a shop for supplies. I paid for 2 nights of docking and electricity. I mentioned I might stay an extra night or two, and that made Emily smile. Then we went back to the boat where she prepared dinner. She was planning to leave in the morning to go home, change, and then head to the university for registration. She intended to come back after that but wasn't sure when. I promised to stay focused while she was gone. To help ensure that, we shared some meaningful moments together that night and again in the morning before she left. After she departed, I checked all the fluid levels on the boat and everything was fine. Then I organized some of the lines and storage areas that occupied about an hour. By 9:30, I was looking for something else to do, so I decided it was a good time to paint the outside of the cabin. I went to the ship's store and bought a gallon of paint, a big brush, and some exterior caulk in case I found any cracks. I also got some gold plastic letters to name the boat. By noon, I had painted one side of the cabin a gray-green and started on the front when I stopped for lunch. A homemade sandwich and a beer didn't quite compare to Emily's cooking. I thought maybe I should invite her to spend the summer with me, but then I figured that I could probably just ask her. I finished painting the front and the other side by 4 when I heard footsteps on the dock. I looked up to see Emily smiling as she brought 2 men and a woman down to the boat. At first I was happy to see her, but then I felt a bit worried because I wasn't sure who the others were. Emily climbed down into the cockpit and greeted me warmly. The others stayed on the dock waiting. "Why are you just standing there?" "Come on in," I said. "In the Navy you don't get on a boat without asking first. Please step aboard." I reached out my hand to help the woman down. She smiled at me as Emily introduced her. "This is my Aunt Carla. Carla, this is Roger or Stuart or whatever name he's using today." My heart skipped a beat, and Carla noticed. "Relax, Stuart. No one knows you're here except us." She offered a friendly smile and gave me a warm hug. The next man to come down was a bit taller than me, showing signs of a disciplined life. Emily said, "This is my Uncle Tom, and behind him is my dad." I shook hands with Tom and then turned to Emily's father. He greeted me with a friendly smile and said, "You don't need to call me Daddy. My name is Ray. I want to thank you for taking care of my rather headstrong daughter." "It was my pleasure, sir." I noticed that all 3 of them seemed like officers, so I naturally treated them with the respect they deserved. Emily had gone inside and brought out 5 glasses, a bottle of wine, and a bottle of scotch with a bucket of ice. setting them on the table. She has helped me out much more than I helped her, I'm sure. Great. Now let's relax. We're not here to grill you. We do want to check on the guy who has charmed Emily though, not for any bad reason. She says you can do impressive things. I'm curious to hear more about that, Tom said. Thank you. I can't really do impressive things, but if trouble comes my way, I can probably handle it pretty well. Both Tom and Ray chuckled in agreement. Please pour yourself a drink and make yourself comfortable. I guess I need to explain myself, I said. Carla responded. You don't have to say anything you don't want to. It looks like you haven't really done anything wrong, just upset some important people. What we really need to figure out is what you want to do next. Emily climbed onto my lap and asked, your picture and name are everywhere in the newspapers and on TV. What did you do? Did you get into trouble? It was more about leaving my job, not causing any harm. Some folks weren't happy about it. They probably also didn't like how I handled my resignation. But that person was the president, she exclaimed as if that changed everything. Look, people can get upset with their bosses at all levels. He was just someone who didn't treat his workers right. I'm done, so I left. Ray replied, Emily, he's right. The main difference is that he wasn't just another worker. He was part of the team and probably knows a lot of things others wish would stay confidential. People in powerful positions often worry about their public image. That's exactly how I feel. I wanted to leave, and I thought the only way was to vanish. I don't want to talk to reporters or write a book or anything like that. I just want to go somewhere I can be unnoticed and live my life. Carla continued the conversation. That's what we thought too, but now we need to figure out how to put this situation back to normal. This week has been slow for news. They've covered all the old scandals and are looking for a new story to grab attention. A presidential aide disappearing makes for great news. So far, there has only been one story about you being taken by Martians, but there are 3 other stories saying you were given something to make you sleepy and taken to Moscow. Some people say you are missing due to various groups, while one story even claims you were chased out of town for an unrelated dispute. I like that one, I said. Emily laughed and replied, you don't really. Why don't you just tell them what really happened? I looked at her and said, Emily in Washington, the truth doesn't seem to matter. What's important is if the story fits what they want to say. It's not good to be wrong all the time and right in a way that causes trouble. It's better to just go along and make the boss look good. The truth usually makes him look bad. The 3 adults nodded in agreement with her. What can you do? She asked. Carla answered. The best plan is to contact the authorities. Just let them know you are safe and traveling for personal reasons. Tom joined in. That will help a little, but not a lot. Stuart, our job is simply to find you, make sure you are okay, and inform them where you are. That's it. We can't hold you. I thought you were a police officer. This sounds like a bigger job. I'm with the FBI, the intelligence officer for this area. Oh, Emily said you were a police officer, Carla said. That's my mistake. I told her to say that because if she mentioned her uncle was with the FBI, many would get worried and back away. We are here today as Emily's family, not for official work. I nodded, but my mind was racing. I think I have a better idea. Talking to the FBI directly could cause complications. Let's try this instead. Carla, you are my lawyer, so I need you to speak for me. Please tell the authorities that I am safe, okay? I'm just traveling. The truth is I needed a break for personal reasons. This way, you don't have to share anything else because of lawyer-client confidentiality, and Tom won't feel pressured. The 3 of us exchanged glances and nodded. Ray suggested, maybe we can take a picture of you both with today's newspaper to prove you are conveying the truth. I agreed, saying, that's fine, but let's do it away from the boat or anywhere that people would recognize. I really don't want a lot of reporters or others trying to find me. Ray and Carla both nodded in agreement. Tom looked at me with tight lips, but didn't say a word. I felt Emily getting restless in my lap. She said, now that we have settled this, can we talk about what's next? The other 3 smiled and nodded. I turned to her and asked, what do you mean by next? Next is what we will do for the rest of the summer. You're going to summer school and I'm going to sail down the river to the Gulf. That's the only plan I know about. Yes. But there is one small change. I'm afraid to hear this, I replied. Ray chimed in. You have good reason to be worried. Go ahead, Emily. Ask him instead of telling him okay, Daddy. Stuart, I signed up for a summer class, but it's a field project. I need to go down the river to take some measurements because the river changed a bit this spring. I was thinking that if you wanted I could go with you and help out, she said playfully as she adjusted her position. You really want to ride down the river with me on this old boat and help with the school project? No. I want to ride down the river on this lovely yacht, prepare meals for us, do my schoolwork, and spend time together every morning and night all summer. I looked at Ray, then at Tom, and finally at Carla. All 3 of them were smiling at how awkward I felt. I can't believe you said that in front of your dad and uncle. They might not like it, they won't mind. Daddy wants to keep me busy this summer. I think he has a new girlfriend or something. Uncle Tom and Carla want some time away from me for a few weeks to relax on a beach. I can either stay here and miss you a lot, or we can spend the summer together. I also want to help you see that you care for me like I care for you. I already said that. She sat up and asked, when did you say that? The other night while you were sleeping. You did not. Then she turned to Carla and asked, is it okay if he tells me while I'm asleep? It depends. Did you fall asleep before he told you or after? It was after the best time we've shared, then it probably counts. If a guy expresses his feelings before being close, he might just want something from you. If he says it afterward, he probably means it. But I didn't hear it. Then spend time with him again and ask him. It's completely fine to ask a guy if he cares for you. I said, I can't believe this conversation. I didn't know there were rules about these things. Tom replied, believe it. I got down on one knee with a ring and asked her to marry me. She wanted to talk about it for 4 days before she would agree. Carla playfully nudged him. Hey, it was only 3 days and we spent most of that time together, so it really wasn't long. I just wanted to make sure you were serious. I quietly said, that's how she gives those playful nudges. Tom smiled and answered yes. Carla has shared a lot with her, including those friendly nudges. It got so much that I thought the marks would last, so I had my shoulder tattooed to hide them. And if you think that's funny, just wait until you hear how they talk about the difference between being close and being in love. You'll get a kick out of that. I looked at Ray hoping to see a worried dad. Instead, he was laughing hard. Finally he looked at me and said, please excuse our family. With 3 of us being ex-Navy and Carla and Tom in law and me in history, we don't use a lot of soft words around each other. I'm concerned that Emily has picked up some habits that might not be the best. I have not. Please be quiet. He hasn't said yes yet. So what do you think, Stuart? Can I join you for the summer? I just need to ask your father one thing first. Ray, if I take her with me, 2 things could happen this summer. I might either decide not to continue our summer plans, or I might consider a deeper commitment. If I choose to pursue that, should I ask for your blessing first? No. Just call and let us know when and where it is so we can celebrate with you. I can do that. Hey, you haven't even told me you care about me, let alone discuss the future. She lightly tapped my shoulder. Shh. We're having an important talk. Both Carla and Emily laughed. Ray said, should I ask what it would take for me to let her go? Daddy, stop that. Maybe something simple would be enough. Here's a simpler version of the text with all explicit content removed and rewritten for clarity. If that's too much, maybe something smaller, Emily suggested. I'm worth much more than a simple gift, she replied. Tom jumped in. Carla and I can each contribute too, then you'd start with multiple gifts. Emily complained, Carla, can you really leave your family? Not really. But if you can get Stuart to consider a long-term commitment, you can focus only on him and not worry about everything else, Carla explained. Emily turned to me. Stuart, are you considering a commitment? I need to think about it. I want to make sure I truly feel it's right. Come on, am I joining you or not? She asked impatiently. Come here, I said. She walked over, and I playfully adjusted her position. Carla, is it okay to tease the person you care about before making any commitments? Of course. Tom and I enjoyed light-hearted banter before we made it official. I gave Emily a gentle nudge. Yes, you can join me this summer. Yes, I care about you. And yes, I want to explore our future together. When I finished, she leaped up and playfully sat on my lap. After a moment I said, it's getting late. How about you help make dinner for everyone? I already have everything ready. Put the grill on. Dad, let's go get my things from the truck. Ray stood up and mentioned they would be back in a few minutes. After they left, Tom looked at me and said, Stuart, you seem concerned about something other than the press chasing you. What's on your mind? I can't say for sure, but I feel like there are some hidden factors that might be more significant than what we can see. When you said I wasn't supposed to be caught but just needed a place, I sensed that some unofficial people would be looking for me for a while. That's why I don't want to be linked to this boat or any other. I think this is the best way to keep moving and stay under the radar. You might be right, he said. Do you have any idea who might be after you? It could be from one or more of his serious but quiet supporters. I found some documents I wasn't meant to see. That made me decide to leave. What did you do with the documents? I sent them with my resignation letter. Looking back, I should have just torn them up and left. So he knows you saw them, but doesn't know what you'll do with that information. That's right. The people involved want to look good on the outside even while they're controlling things behind the scenes. That's what made me really upset. One of the companies is based here, and the others are in the Midwest. I don't know which one produced the documents I saw, but they were concerning. Do you think they could become a threat? That's my main worry about Emily going with me. They might. On the other hand, they are looking for a man who is escaping, not a couple enjoying a peaceful trip down the river. Do you have a safe place to stay for a bit if you need to? Yes. But I can only hide one of them. The other one is secure. That's good. Carla said, Stuart, don't worry too much about Emily. She seems sweet, and in some ways she is, but overall, she is strong. Ray and Tom have taught her about self-defense and how to handle tough situations. Also, I imagine you don't have anything with your name on it. She has her phone and can call us without raising any concerns. If you need to reach us, or we need to send you some news, that will be the easiest way until they realize she is with you. Tom nodded. Do you have a way to defend yourself? I have a few items stored in a secure space I made in the cabin. I haven't told Emily about those yet. You should show her how to use them just in case. I hear all kinds of things. Most of it is not helpful, but sometimes I get important information. I'll let you know if I find out anything else. Thanks. I took out the grill and set it up, connecting the propane. I would turn it on when Emily got back. From the top of the hill near the dock I heard someone calling for me. It was Emily, asking for me and Tom to help carry things down to the boat. Carla went to the bathroom, so Tom and I walked up to where Emily was waiting with a pile of boxes. Wow, Emily, did you move out? No, I just brought some extra clothes. These are the things I need for my class. Where will we put them? Don't worry, love. They can stay in the cockpit until I install them. We can throw away the boxes before we leave. They won't take up too much space. We each carried 2 boxes down to the boat while Ray took the last 2 after he parked his truck. Once everything was on the deck I asked, what is all this stuff? A GPS radar, sonar, a laptop, a plotter, and some hand tools. Don't worry. I have everything under control. You have me a bit confused, and that's not even counting the gear. Just wait and see. After we are married, I'll share more with you. You mean there's more? Carla came back and said, of course. We always like to surprise the guys. One day I might run out of surprises for Tom. By the way, Stuart, the inside of the cabin looks amazing. Maybe after you two return, I can get my husband to borrow it and take me for a nice sail up the river. Come on, Em. Let's help with dinner. I think the sailors need some time together. I offered Ray and Tom a glass of scotch, and they accepted. We sat in the back of the cockpit and talked softly. Ray started. Don't worry too much about Emily and some of the things she says. She has been around us for a long time and we're pretty open with each other. Focus on what she does instead of what she says. I think I get that now, I replied. My biggest concerns about her come from our age difference and not knowing what might happen next. Tom said, Emily hasn't shown much interest in guys her own age. The few guys she has been with in the last couple of years were older. I think she likes being around those with more experience. As for facing what's ahead, doing it alone is just as tough as having someone by your side. Like Carla said, she's been through a lot with us. We stay fit and keep our skills sharp. She can handle things if you guide her. She just hasn't had the same leadership chances that we had in the military. I'll keep that in mind, Ray continued. About her school, I really want her to finish college. Right now, she has a scholarship that pays for her classes and books. After that, I'm sure she will want to go to grad school if she keeps liking cartography. There aren't any schools nearby that offer what she needs. She might have to head to the West Coast or the Northeast for that. I'm fine with all of that. I think I would prefer the Northwest, but that's just because I don't know much about the Northeast. I haven't been there. Ray then asked softly, Stuart, I was looking to find you last week when I heard you were missing, so I came back. I'm doing some research on the SEALs for the Navy, and discovered some things that seem to be missing about your last mission. Can I ask you a few questions? I looked at him closely for a moment. He seemed serious. I was also at a tough spot. Should I trust the man who will be my father-in-law, or should I keep hiding because of my worries? I felt comfortable around all 3 of them. The problem wasn't them. It was me, and I knew that. Ray, there's a lot about the mission I don't know. Even after the official review and the tough times we had, I still don't get many things. I suppose I can talk to you more about it. The big issue is that the Navy got the report they wanted. 12 of us were treated unfairly, and nothing I say will change that. I guess I'm not ready to make a big fuss. I think Tom and I get how you feel. We all have some tough missions in the past that we wish we could forget. I don't want to cause any trouble. But there are people in the Navy who care about the true story. They know that official accounts don't always reflect what really happened. They need to hear the real truth even if it's not easy to convey. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. What do you want to know? For now, I just need some background. I've talked to a few members of your team, and they all said you know more than anyone else. You were the highest ranked enlisted person on the team that day, right? Yes. The commanding officer came to us from another team 6 months before the mission. He seemed to really know what he was doing. I liked him, and we worked well together. You weren't with the team when the action started, were you? No. The commanding officer wanted me on a hilltop nearby with the sniper rifle. I was about 100 yards away from everyone else, and about 75 feet higher up. Was the sniper rifle standard issue? Pretty much, yes. It was a powerful weapon that used special ammunition. It had a magazine that held 5 rounds. The main change was that someone developed a lightweight camera to attach under the barrel. This camera had a wider view than the regular scope and recorded everything happening at the aiming point. Did it work okay that day? I asked. I think it did. I never got to see the original video. All I saw was the edited version they showed during the meeting. So it was changed, yes. Some parts were out of order, and other important things were left out. Do you think the original video would have changed what happened at the meeting? Tears started to flow from my eyes, and I felt a comforting hand on my shoulder. All I could say was, maybe. I'm not sure. Emily's voice gently asked, "Is this about the scary memory, sweetie?" I nodded. She gave me reassurance and said, "Sweetie, that difficult time is gone. I'm here for you." I whispered, "That memory is gone, but its impact lingers, and there are others out there facing similar challenges." Ray asked quietly, "Stuart, do you know what happened to the video after you came out?" "I don't know for sure. A guy named Baker or Baxter or something took the whole thing and disappeared. I never saw him again. He wasn't in the military. I thought he might be a spy." Then 2 weeks later the video appeared on screen. I guess they put together the important parts and showed it. One last question, Stuart. In the file there are no reports from anyone on the team. Do you know what happened to them? There were none. What? You mean no reports at all? Yes. When we returned to the base, we were instructed to stay quiet and not share any details about the mission, even with each other. I went to my bunk and fell asleep right away. 2 days later, we were flown back to the States. We went to Bethesda, where we were kept apart for physical and mental checkups. The doctor said I had PTSD and suggested I try not to think about the mission. I didn't see the others until a meeting 2 weeks later. 2 months after that, we all received medical discharges and were warned never to discuss the mission again due to national security. No one ever asked for a report on what happened. I just lowered my head and felt Emily's fingers gently massage my neck. I could hear Ray ask Tom, "What do you think?" I believe there's a lot he doesn't understand, and there are some things that confuse him, but he hasn't lied to you. That's how I see it too. Without the tape, we'll never know the full truth. Tom added, "Emily, I think this has been tough on Stuart. Why don't you take him for a walk? I'll help Carla with dinner." Emily took my hand and led me to the dock, then up the hill. We walked for about 30 minutes. She chatted about things she needed to find on our trip down the river. Finally I stopped and looked at her. "Emily, what's going on?" "I'm confused." "It's okay, dear. I'm not sure either. Dad is doing some research and it's tricky for him. There isn't a lot of information out there. He just wanted to see if you could help him find some answers. He usually brings Tom when he talks to veterans because Tom was in combat too. He understands how you feel and is good at reading people. I promise the last thing they want to do is hurt you. They trust you, or they wouldn't have let me come with you. All I care about is being with you. Do you really want to marry me?" I sighed, letting my worries fade. "Emily, all I know is that I never want to lose you. I want to be with you forever. I want to start a family with you. I want to be by your side when we grow old together. I guess that means I want to marry you, right?" "Yes, it seems that way. But can we wait to start a family until I finish school? You will finish school and then get your degree, or I'll make you do some extra chores for a month. We'll see about that. I still owe you for the tasks you helped me with earlier. It was just a little help, and it wasn't too difficult. It felt significant because it happened in front of my dad and uncle. That makes it feel like more. You can give me all the tasks you want, just promise you won't ever leave me. You can count on that, sailor. You're stuck with me for life. Are you ready to go back for dinner?" "Yes, let's go. By the way, I really like your family. That's great because they like you too. Carla told me in the kitchen that you would be good for me, and that I could be good for you once I figured things out. You are already good for me even without having everything figured out. I care about you more than I can say. What you said means everything. I feel the same way. I'm staying here with you tonight. They want you to come to their house for dinner before we leave. Is that all right?" "Yes, of course." As we started back over the hill, Tom by the grill said, "They are back." I felt better after talking to Emily and letting go of my sad feelings. I hope they didn't think less of me because of my earlier emotional moment. They had shish kebabs on the grill along with a mix of vegetables and tasty rice, and we enjoyed a cheerful meal together. They didn't seem upset by my disappointment, and I felt more at ease. As we finished our wine, Ray looked at me and asked, "Can you tell me about Sylvia?" I was surprised and replied, "How do you know Sylvia?" "I went with Tom when he interviewed her the other day. We really connected, and I'm going to see her again this weekend." Emily chimed in. "She's the fourth one, right?" "Yes," I said. She playfully punched my shoulder. Then she turned to her dad and said, "Tell him he's taken, but I'm still open to meeting someone." Ray looked surprised and gave me a questioning glance. I shyly explained, "I haven't been very social since I got back from the service." Emily wanted to know about the women I liked the most. I told her I had my eye on 3 married women and 1 single one. I never went on dates with any of them, but I got to know them through work. Sylvia was the only single one. We were good friends until she made a big mistake at work. She told her boss to behave or she would inform his wife about his inappropriate behavior. This did not sit well with someone high up in the commerce department. Before they could find a way to let her go, she got moved to the regional office of the Interior Department. I hadn't seen or talked to her in 3 years until last week. She was the one they sent to interview me on my way out of town. Tom replied, yes. I heard the recordings, both the one in the car and the phone call. I thought you knew that both were recorded. I nodded. They sent me to meet her before the news about your disappearance got out. Ray was staying close to her office, so he came with me. She reminds me a lot of you. She got close, but didn't like how things were done. I could see that she had an idea or thought she knew more about you than just a simple friendship, but she didn't really know much more than what she said. That's Sylvia. We've helped each other out more than once. I trust her quite a bit. I know she has to be honest, so I didn't tell her anything that might put her in a tough spot. I feel the same way. Anyway, Ray, she's a great person who is really fun and very smart. I can see you two getting along well. Just so you know, she is 35 and has never been married. She enjoys classical music, good food, and she likes to hunt, fish, and go sailing. As far as I know, she likes a man who is smart, can hold a good conversation and treats her with respect. I've heard from others that she's quite skilled in showing her affection if she likes someone. I could tell a response was coming, and it did. How do you know that? She mentioned it to me. She said that when she meets a guy she really likes, she enjoys spending time with him before they grow closer, and she shared that when you were ready for her, she was ready for you. Right? No comment. Besides, I have someone special who understands me in her own way. Carla chimed in. You did it. You finally took that step. Was it good? It was even better than good. And when he was really close to me, it was amazing. You two are great together. Just remember, he's still a guy and needs some time to recharge. Give him a little break, and then you can enjoy all the fun you want. Ray added, I see where she gets it. It doesn't change much though. Our mom was just like Carla. The four of us would hang out, and before anything else, they'd share stories about their lives. It has been over 12 hours since I saw you, and I really want to be close to you now. I think you always want that, she replied with a chuckle. So what? It's just how I feel. I gently expressed my emotions, and then I asked, can you tell me what the difference is between being close and just moving forward? Sure, but not tonight. She playfully encouraged me, and we enjoyed our time together, sharing moments that felt deeply connected before finally drifting off to a deep sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I found myself alone. I heard some noises coming from the back of the boat, and a wave of worry hit me. I quickly jumped up and ran to the cabin door. There was Emily happily unpacking boxes that we had set aside. I took a moment to calm my racing heart. When she noticed me, she smiled and said, why don't you get dressed and bring us each a cup of coffee? I want to finish setting this up today. I thought about waking you up in a playful way, but you look so calm I decided to let you sleep a little longer. Do you know how to use all that stuff? I asked. Well, I'm not an expert on boats and sailing, but I do know a good bit about other things. How about you go get us some coffee? I'll grab the coffee. You can enjoy the view, I said with a grin. I went back inside and found the coffee was ready and hot. I quickly dressed in shorts and a t-shirt before pouring the coffee. I went back to the cockpit and greeted my love with a warm smile. I need to install the radar antenna and GPS receiver up high. Can I make some holes in the roof of the steering station? If I can get some rubber seals to keep out the rain, that should be fine. I'll head to the store later and see if they have any. Thanks, dear. I'll keep the units themselves inside the cabin on the desk. Is that okay? Why not put them on the dining table inside instead? We don't need it, and you'll have more space. There's also a way to run the wires up to the steering station over there. Wow. You're really smart, and I care about you so much. Do you feel the same way this morning? I said during our walk last night that I've never met anyone like you. I can't imagine being without you. Yes, I love you, and I want you with me. You really know how to make a girl feel special. Can you take the plotter inside for me? I'll bring the laptop in and figure out how to set them up. The plotter is the biggest piece. The other screens can go on the wall or the floor. I carried the plotter inside. It wasn't heavy, but it was a bit awkward to hold. Looking at the table, I thought it might be better to put it on a higher spot and place the other monitors below it. I set it down and grabbed my wallet, saying, hold on for a few minutes. I'm going to the store because I saw something there yesterday that might be just right. I headed out to the store. The store clerk asked what I needed. I told him I wanted to see an equipment mount and rack that I had seen the day before, and wanted to check how it was set up and its size. He nodded, and walked me to the back of the store, where it was leaning against the wall. He explained that it could be attached to a wall, shelf, or ceiling, and could be stretched from 20 to 30 inches wide. It looked like it was just what we needed. He also had some rubber pieces that would seal holes in the ceiling. With those in hand, I went back to the boat and found Emily making breakfast for us. I watched her cook for a bit, then went over and wrapped my arms around her. I love watching you work. You look so focused on what you're doing but can switch to a playful mood so quickly. I never get tired of looking at you. That's something I've never heard before. Usually someone tells me to stop working and just relax, which really annoys me. But with you, I feel like I can focus and enjoy myself. I really like that feeling. Don't change for me. I appreciate you just the way you are. I'm glad you appreciate that. You make me feel good, but if you don't stop, I might mess up breakfast. I don't want to stop, but I will because I'm hungry. After breakfast I want to spend more time with you. I'm going to hold you to that. Reluctantly, I let her go and placed the rack on the table to see how it would fit in different ways. Finally, I decided the best option would be to mount it against the wall in the cabinet. This would leave a little shelf on top for the plotter, while the monitors could sit below it on the table. The rest of the table was clear for the laptop and any other material she needed for her work. She placed our plates on the table, and we started to eat while I described how everything would be set up. I could see her imagination at work as she pictured the arrangement and how to best use the equipment. As I spoke and she imagined, a big smile appeared on her face. She looked at me and said, "You are so smart. This will work really well, and still leave room for us to eat or do other things. I love it. How long will it take to put up the rack?" "It will be ready in about an hour." "Is it really that long?" "It will take just 5 minutes to hang the cabinet. But we will need about 45 minutes to get everything organized before I can hang it." She smiled. "You and I think alike." We finished our breakfast and then moved to the bedroom. This morning I wanted to enjoy being close to her, and she was eager to be near me. We joked and played around with each other for almost an hour before we let go of our morning stress and got back to work. With the rack ready, we quickly set up the equipment, and the wires were neatly organized and run up into the steering station. By 3 in the afternoon, we had the GPS and radar devices placed on the roof and connected to the wiring. It was time to power everything up and see if it worked. I noticed that she knew exactly how to operate the equipment. She turned on each piece one by one and set the calibration mode. At 4 she suggested we take a quick trip to the river to test everything on the water. When we came back at 6, she was beaming with happiness because everything seemed to be working well. We had radar coverage for up to 12 miles, or we could adjust it back to a 5-mile range. The GPS signal matched both the paper chart and the one saved on the laptop. The only thing left to set up was the sonar, but I couldn't do that until morning because I needed to place the transducer on the bottom of the boat. Instead of cooking dinner, we walked together to the diner at the entrance of the marina. We enjoyed a simple but nice meal. Later, we walked back to the boat and shared a glass of juice before heading to bed. The next morning after we woke up, we sipped coffee while I looked over the installation guide for the sonar unit. Once we finished our drinks, I took the sonar transducer and attached it where the guide said to put it. It connected directly to the laptop. While I worked, Emily took stock of our food and supplies. Some items were not very good or useful, so she bagged those up to donate to a food bank. She also decided to pick up a few new things for herself and for me. By the time I was done working, she planned a shopping trip for us. Before we left, we talked about our plans and decided to stay one more day in St. Louis. We agreed to leave early the next morning. Emily called Carla to inform her of our plans, and Carla invited us for dinner the following night just as we had discussed before. After that, we took Emily's car and went shopping. We stopped for lunch at a little deli she liked, then concluded our trip at the grocery store. In the evening, we unpacked and put away the food, clothes, and other essentials we bought for our trip. Just before it got dark, I took the boat to the fueling station to fill the tanks and check the fluids. Then we relaxed for our second to last night in St. Louis. That night, we enjoyed each other's company for a long time and eventually drifted off to sleep contentedly. We woke up late, had coffee together, and took our time getting up and dressing. Every day, I grew more comfortable with Emily and her abilities. I didn't see her as someone who needed help anymore. She was a capable woman navigating a challenging situation. I realized that her confidence and independence stemmed from being raised by 2 strong individuals and a resilient woman. Her background was unique, but she embodied both grace and strength. I couldn't imagine anyone better to share my life with. Despite a few concerns, I planned a special dinner for that night. The plan was to take Emily's car to Tom and Carla's house where she would leave it, and then Ray would give us a ride back to the boat after dinner. He was set to leave the next morning to visit Memphis and meet Sylvia for their date. We arrived at their house at 6 and were warmly welcomed by Carla and Ray. Tom was going to be late due to an unexpected work commitment. Emily showed me around her house, pointing out her room next to her father's, who often stayed there during the summer months. We opened a bottle of wine and enjoyed our conversation. Carla was waiting for a message from Tom to confirm he was on his way home before putting dinner in the oven. It would only take 30 minutes to cook. Ray was feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement about his trip to Memphis. I reminded him that being respectful would help make a good impression on Sylvia. Carla mentioned that she had made an official call to the FBI informing them that I was taking some time away to unwind from the pressures of Washington. She didn't know my destination, but I promised to keep in touch to let her know I was all right. It seemed that the news about me was fading, which was a relief. The drop in interest was likely because many people were now focused on the president's recent meeting with Congress that did not go as planned. He had an opportunity to pass a bill that both sides could agree upon, but he sought more than was ready to be offered. Then everything unraveled. I had warned him many times that he wouldn't achieve what he wanted, but it seemed he had chosen not to heed the advice. I could also visualize the lobbyist who was urging him to pursue that specific deal. He and his team would be very upset about this weak attempt to get what they wanted. Tom called at 7 and said he would be home in 30 minutes. Carla put dinner in the oven while we poured our second glass of wine. Tom actually got home 10 minutes before dinner was ready and said he was sorry for being late. He washed his hands and took off his coat and tie before he joined us for a glass of wine. I thought this might be the right moment to act, so I stood up. Everyone was looking at me. I need to talk to all of you. Please listen. Ray and Tom, you are the two most important men in Emily's life. Can I ask for your blessing to propose to her? 3 people laughed, and the smallest woman in the room started to cry. It took a moment for the men to calm down enough to say yes. I then turned to Emily and got down on one knee, taking her left hand, which was shaking slightly. Emily, I never thought I would find someone like you, but here you are, and I don't want to lose you. I love you, I want you, and I want us to build a life together. Will you marry me? Her voice wavered as she gave me the best answer I could have hoped for. Yes, my captain. I will marry you, and I promise to make your life very interesting. I placed the ring on her finger and her eyes widened. Where did you get a ring? You haven't left my side since we first met. Emily, I shared my story with you. My parents passed away when I was 16. The only thing of real value I have is this ring. It was my mother's engagement ring. I don't own anything else that means this much to me. It might not be the usual thing to do, but I want you to have it. If you want, we can find you your own ring later, but I give you this one to show you how I feel. She knelt down and said, This is just right, and I will always wear it with pride. I love you so much. Then we exchanged a warm embrace surrounded by our family who celebrated with hugs. Soon after, Carla announced that dinner was ready. Dinner was filled with joy and laughter. The topic of the dowry came up, and Ray jokingly raised it to 6 cows. Emily humorously threatened everyone, saying they'd better drop that idea for good. We finally ended the meeting at 10. As we were getting ready to leave, Tom said, I've been thinking about whether I should say this, especially after the surprise you gave me earlier. But I think you need to know something, Stuart and Emily. The reason I was late was that I was talking to a guy at the hospital. He was hurt badly this morning. His name is Jefferson Martin, and he is the senator's son. 2 guys approached him and asked about a boat he saw on the river. He told them to go away, and they resorted to aggressive behavior. He didn't know much, but he said it was a workboat without a name and nothing special to describe it. He did mention the boatyard where you got it, so you're right. There might be some serious people looking for you, and they know you're on a boat. Thanks for telling me. That doesn't surprise me. Emily, this could become a big problem. Do you want to stay here? Of course not. I'll be here for you, my friend, for as long as you need me. Tom, do you have any equipment we can borrow? Not right now, but Stuart said he has some on the boat. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I didn't want you to use them without proper training. You'll find out where they are in the morning and learn how to use them by noon. Tom, what do you think will happen next? I think they will drive to the boatyard and ask the workers there. They probably won't learn much, just that you came this way. The drive will take them a day to get there, and another day to come back, so they could be back here tomorrow. Then they'll need to find out where you were staying, but they don't know if you stayed or left right after. They might try to find Emily, but we're the only ones who know where she is, so that will lead nowhere. You should have a 2-day head start if you leave in the morning, but they won't know that. They might fly or drive down to Memphis or somewhere close, hoping to find you there. Besides that, I don't have many ideas. I'll listen for any news and ask the manager to call me if anyone asks about you. I'll ring Emily's phone and leave a message when I learn anything new. Check your voicemail, Em, whenever you get a signal. Yes, I will. He and Carla gave us each hugs, and Ray drove us back to the boat. He told us to call him when we reached Memphis. If he was still there, he would share any updates. We agreed, hugged him again, and then got back on the boat. Emily, we're ready to leave now. Do you think we can travel down the river at night to get a better start? Everything I know about the river says it's not safe to go out at night because of the changing sandbars. She went to the computer and logged in. A moment later she was looking at the map down the river. The only issues we heard about for the first 100 miles are at the 75-mile mark. This part of the river is mostly straight, and looks deep enough without any big obstacles. I think we should go. We can find a spot to stop just after the 75-mile mark, and wait until morning to be safe. I will keep an eye on the radar and sonar to make sure everything is okay. That was all I needed to hear. A few minutes later the engine and generator were running, and I was pulling in the mooring lines. I turned on the running lights and the bow headlight to see the channel. And we began our journey a little earlier than we planned. There was also my special place we could use if we needed it, but that wouldn't be until at least a couple of days from now. When we reached the river, we saw a long barge moving past us on the west side. For now I decided to follow in its wake until we felt more at ease with the river. Emily made a pot of coffee and brought me a cup while she prepared her tools and started monitoring the screens. After an hour, Emily said everything looked good and that the river ahead was clear. I steered the boat toward the middle of the river and picked up speed to safely pass the barge, ensuring there was plenty of space between us. As we passed, the captain of the barge tooted his horn, and I returned the gesture. Once I was a mile ahead, I moved back to the west side of the river and slowed down a bit, but I was still going faster than the barge. I got accustomed to the monotonous task of steering the boat with just a small amount of moonlight guiding us. As I kept losing the radio stations, I turned it off and put in a CD. For the next few hours I enjoyed the music of the cast of Ada. Emily came up every 30 minutes to check if I wanted more coffee or a snack. Every time she asked, I simply smiled and encouraged her to get some rest. Finally, around 2:30, she agreed to sleep if I promised to call her if I needed her. I said I would, but since I felt fine, I let her rest. At 4 in the morning I noticed the river felt different. I remembered that she had mentioned a spot at 75 miles. I didn't see anything wrong, but I decided to slow down as a precaution. A few minutes later, Emily appeared rubbing her eyes. Did something change with the boat? Is everything okay? No. Everything's fine. I think we're at that 70-mile mark. I just slowed down to be safe. Oh, I'll check the GPS. She went back below deck and returned a few minutes later. Yes. We're almost there. There's a small town with a dock coming up. Do you want to stop, stretch a bit, and maybe grab some breakfast? I had a nap. You could use a break. That sounds like a good idea. We might stay for a few hours and rest more. I think we are safe for now. After that we can keep going for the rest of the day. I like that idea. By the way, I didn't really tell you how surprised, but happy I was when you asked me to marry you. I've been dreaming about that moment, but I wasn't ready for it last night. It was really special to have my family there. Thank you. I want to be a wonderful partner to you. You are already wonderful to me. Don't change a thing, I won't. She went back down and shouted up to me that we should reach the town in 30 minutes. I looked at the clock and made a note of when I expected to see it. I also noticed that the sky in the east was getting lighter. In 30 minutes, we should be able to dock without any trouble. I started to see barges lined up along the shore. Each one seemed to be tied up. I wondered if there was a problem further down the river, so I turned on the radio again. After the weather update they shared a report about the river, but they didn't mention any issues. I called Emily to join us since we were nearing the town. She came up and used the binoculars to look around the riverbank. The barges seemed to stop a little before the dock at the town. I'm not sure what's happening. I can't see anything else, she said, lightly resting her hand on my shoulder as we passed the last barge and headed toward the dock below the town. We secured the boat and turned off the engine before beginning our walk up the hill to the town. It felt nice to stand up and stretch our legs, getting the blood flowing again. We entered town and found a cafe that was open for an early breakfast. The aroma of fresh bread and coffee was wonderful. We chose a table by the window, and the waitress quickly brought us coffee. As Emily looked at the menu, I turned to a woman in her middle years and asked, "What's happening with all the barges parked along the river north of here?" "Well, it's hurting our business during the busy season. Those barges are filled with winter wheat going to a mill, but the mill had to close for some urgent repairs. So the barge pilots can only park until they can get back to work. Instead of stopping, they just head back home. When the recreational boaters pass by, they don't stop because they think there's a big event happening. We've lost about half our customers. Maybe things will get better when the mill opens again. Someone will need to come pick up the barges." "I see. So what do the locals enjoy most on the menu?" "For breakfast, they love big meals like chicken fried steak, eggs, hash browns, gravy and biscuits. That should keep you full until dinner if you need it," Emily said, "unless someone has an unexpected incident at lunch." The waitress smiled and said, "At least they will enjoy their meal." I added, "If it's good enough for someone on their last meal, it's good enough for me." "Emily, I'll have the same." "You're not going anywhere without me, Captain. Let me guess. You two just got engaged?" Emily asked. "How did you know? If you were just starting to date, you would have ordered something sweet and romantic. If you were already married, you would want some space from each other." We all laughed as the waitress went to put in our order. While we waited, Emily picked up her phone and seemed ready to call Tom. "Don't do that," I said suddenly. "What if they find out you're with me? They might track your phone since you stayed with me after St. Louis. Turn it off and put it away. We can get a prepaid phone after breakfast. You can use that to call in." I'm not ready to take too many risks with these people. I guess that's something I need to understand better. Can they really find a cell phone? Yes. If you're making a call, they can find you in less than a minute. If you're not on a call, they can see where your calls come from, where you've been, and guess where you might go next. You might have an app on your phone that tracks your location too, and they can access that. It might not happen here, but when we get to Memphis, if you turn it on, you'll get lots of ads from local businesses. The only way they can track a disposable phone is if they know the number. To find that out, they would have to tap into your dad's, Carla's, or Tom's phone. Then they could see where we've been, but they wouldn't know where we are right now. We might catch 2 or 3 of them and then let them go when their time runs out. I always thought only the government could do things like that. That's mostly true, but some big businesses have close ties to important people in the government. Usually, I wouldn't be too worried, but I don't know who might be tracking us. If they figure out we're going down the river, they could just wait for us. Right? Yes. But I have a few surprises planned for the journey. Once we reach Louisiana, there are many small streams and side paths. They can't keep an eye on all of them. Plus, I have a secret place we can stay for a few days. No one knows about it. That should make them search elsewhere. We'll just have to see what happens. We enjoyed a hearty breakfast that was as delicious as the waitress promised. Afterward, we walked to a store and bought a prepaid cell phone with 25 minutes on it. Emily called her dad just as he was leaving St. Louis. She told him we had left the night before and were already down the river. He was glad to hear from her, and said he would let Carla and Tom know. The call was quick, lasting less than a minute, but the phone charged us for 3 minutes. When we got back to the boat, we changed into comfortable clothes and went to bed. I fell asleep almost right away, and Emily joined me soon after. I woke up feeling much better at 10:30 and turned over to be closer to Emily. Her eyes opened and she said, "I was dreaming about you. Let's stay close. When will you tell me the difference between being close and love? When you are ready. Now let's enjoy this time together." So I didn't mind. Surprisingly, we didn't take long. I guess we both had more stress than we thought. I was back at the steering station starting up the river again shortly after 11. In the daylight, we moved pretty fast. A few times, Emily asked me to slow down and go to the middle of the river and back again. I thought she spotted something on the sonar and wanted to check it. At 1, Emily brought our lunch and a map with her. We were moving pretty quickly, and I didn't think we would find a town with a dock to stop at for the night. She suggested we stop along a straight 5-mile stretch that looked good for tying up or dropping anchor for the night. I told her it was a smart idea and to let me know when we got close. She said we would reach it around 5. I nodded and started playing the Pearl Fishers for the afternoon. As soon as the music started, Emily shouted, "Hey! You need to put speakers down here so I can listen too." "I love you too, and we will get speakers in the next town," I replied. "Turn the volume up," she said. So I did. It wasn't loud enough to hear from the riverbank, but if it had been, I bet some people living nearby would have wondered what kind of music those guys were playing because it didn't sound like anything from Nashville. I was pleasantly surprised by how content I felt while cruising along the river at a slow speed. I didn't have any rush. I was with a wonderful woman, and I could let my mind wander to the future instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the present. I really liked that feeling and the soft music added to it. At 4:30, we went around one of the many bends in the Mississippi, and I thought we were getting close to the spot Emily had mentioned. "Are we here yet?" I asked. "Yes, we just got into it. I see an island about 2 miles ahead. That could be a good place to stop for the night." I considered it and thought that an island might be just right. As we approached the sandbar, I wondered if it would be a tricky spot. If it was a secluded island, it could be perfect for the night. It all came down to how deep the water was between the shore and the island. When we got closer, I slowed down, and Emily came up to help. I asked her, "Go back down and keep an eye on the water depth. If it's shallow between the shore and the island, let me know, and I'll turn around. If it stays deep enough, we can move in and find a place to tie up." She went back down and reported the depths. 10 feet, 10 feet, 9 feet, 7 feet, 7 feet, 9 feet. "That's good. I see a spot that will work," I said. I turned off the engine and moved slowly toward the shore. Then I put the engine in reverse, and we stopped. I took the front rope and stepped into 2 feet of water to tie it to a big rock at the edge. Emily threw me the back rope, which I tied around a sturdy tree nearby. This place looked like a favorite resting spot with signs of campfires scattered around. I climbed back into the cockpit, and Emily handed me a towel. I also enjoyed the shade provided by the tree to which our boat was tied. Its broad branches offered a nice place to relax and enjoy coffee in the morning. Emily went inside and came back with a drink for me and a glass of wine for herself. We settled into the captain's chairs and listened to music coming from the steering area. We chatted for a little while before deciding what to have for dinner. We settled on chicken and rice pilaf, so she went below to start cooking. I sat quietly, reflecting on our trip so far and feeling happy. Then I felt a tingle at the back of my neck before I noticed a sound coming closer. It was the soft woof woof of a helicopter, flying low and slow down the river. It took me a moment to understand that there was no reason for the helicopter to be flying low or slow in this area unless they were searching for something or someone. I had a strange feeling that we might be what they were after. I couldn't see the helicopter from where I was, so I climbed back up to where I could steer. Through the trees, I could just make out the shape of it. It was an army helicopter, and I was sure they were looking for us along the river. Luckily, it continued down the middle of the river and didn't come toward the island where we were. I took the map back down and focused on it for a while. Emily came out to refill my drink and noticed me studying the map. "What are you looking for, dear?" "I'm trying to see if we can get past Memphis without being seen." "Oh, is something wrong? Maybe. Did you hear that helicopter flying by?" It was an army helicopter flying low and slow, almost like it was searching for something or someone. I worry that they might be looking for us. To be careful, let's leave early and stay close to the riverbank in the morning. If another helicopter appears, I might find a place to take cover. My biggest worry is that we could easily be seen in Memphis. I hope there will be a barge traveling by when we get there. If that happens, I might try to sneak past the city on the west side of the barge. There isn't much cover on the west side, but from the east side, anyone with binoculars could easily see everything. I'm hoping a barge or something will block our view. Should I call Dad when we arrive? To be safe, let's wait until we're past the city before you call. If he wants to see us, he could drive down to Helena. I think that would be a better spot to meet. Memphis is too open. You're in charge. Are we safe here? We're as safe as we can be. There's no way to reach this place from the shore. We're pretty well hidden from above. The only way someone could find us is by boat, and they would need to know where to look. We'll keep the blinds closed tonight so no light can be seen. We don't have TV here, but we can pick up one radio station from Memphis. I'll listen to the 6 News. While we sat and listened to the radio, I gestured for Emily to come over. I showed her how to open a small door in the wall near the hatch. Inside, I took out a classic 30-30 rifle with a scope, a pump shotgun, and 3 handguns. One was a .22, another was a 9mm, and the last was a classic .45 automatic. Do you know how to use these? Emily examined them. As she picked each one up, she checked the safety and looked at the magazine to see if it was loaded. It was clear she had learned how to handle firearms well. Yes. I've used all these guns or similar ones at the shooting range. The only one I don't feel good about is the .45. The first shot is fine, but I lose control after that. It's too heavy for me. Alright. If we need them, and I really hope we don't, you can take the shotgun and the 9mm. I'll take the .45 and the 30 rifle. The holsters and ammo are right here. There are 3 clips for each handgun, and I'm going to get the rifle and shotgun ready now just in case. Do you really think we will need them? I hope not. I always wished we wouldn't need any on missions, but we usually did. Some people think making a lot of noise will get your attention. I prefer to handle things quietly and carry on with my work. Causing harm isn't something I want to do, but if it's necessary, you sound like Uncle Tom. He always said that a weapon should end a bad situation, not start one. That pretty much sums it up. I have one more item stored away. I won't bring it out unless things get really tough. It will make the point clear. Is it legal? The weapon is, but some of the ammo isn't, so let's not discuss it right now. When I was planning my escape, I didn't think I would need the guns, but I couldn't leave them behind. They were good quality weapons that I had collected and practiced with. I was glad that Emily didn't seem worried about them. I could see that she would be a help, not a problem, if things went wrong. The radio news didn't have anything interesting. As the news announcer handed it back to the regular host, the host said, "We've received several calls about a low-flying army helicopter going down the river." It really startled a lot of fishermen. Has there been any news about that? Yes. The army said they are searching for a missing person near the river. They didn't share any more details. That river is really big. It's easy to get lost in it. You're right about that. Then the host turned on some music. Emily asked, "Do you think they might be searching for us?" It would be a strange coincidence if it wasn't about us. The helicopter was looking for boats, not people. I think they have a general description of our boat by now, and sent the helicopter to check if they could find us easily. They know if we go past Baton Rouge, we could end up anywhere. Up here we have to stay mostly by the river. She nodded and went back to finish making dinner. I loaded the shotgun and 30-30 rifle, and put them away, hoping we wouldn't need them. The music on this station was lively Cajun dance music. It's fun to listen to and dance to, but it didn't fit in the small space of a boat's cabin. I turned it off and played a CD with songs from famous romantic operas. Emily looked at me and smiled, saying, "Did you pick that to impress me tonight? I'm pretty sure you have a lot of charm tonight. Dinner will be ready in 5 minutes and I'll be ready 15 minutes after that." She was right. Dinner was ready in 5 minutes, and we were both ready 15 minutes later. We finished our meeting and moved to the bed where we talked for a few hours about our plans. Eventually, we drifted off to sleep, listening to Nessun Dorma, which felt like a fitting end to our busy day. I woke up early feeling uneasy. I got out of bed and looked outside but saw nothing. I stepped onto the deck and listened closely. I heard a strange noise but I couldn't figure out what it was. It seemed to be coming from the river. I went back inside and changed into shorts, shoes and a shirt. I gently woke Emily and told her to get ready without turning on any lights or making noise. She nodded. I then took out the shotgun and handed her the 9mm for safety. I quietly climbed down from the platform and back and walked toward the riverbank. I followed a path toward the middle of the island. From there I could hear the noise more clearly, but I still didn't know what was causing it. I moved carefully toward the sound, making sure to stay hidden. Finally, I reached a small clearing and discovered what was making the noise. 2 men were working on a tree by the riverbank. They were using a chainsaw to cut off some low branches. One of them was fixing a box to the tree, while a third man was setting up an antenna on another tree. 2 bright lights on a boat shone down, helping them see what they were doing. When the chainsaw stopped, I could hear the men talking. "Why are we doing this out here in the dark and away from everything?" one asked. "Look, we are just following orders. This is what they want. They mention counting the barges that go down the river every day," replied the other. "That doesn't make sense. The batteries in the camera won't last long. And who knows if the satellite will even work? The last time we set one up, it only sent part of the picture and messed up the rest. That was because the person who connected it did it wrong. Let's finish this and then go back for breakfast. We need to be ready to go again later today," she said. "Are we doing another job like this?" I asked. "No. This time they want us to follow a boat and see where it goes. By the way, is that antenna ready yet?" "Yes. Bring the cable over and connect it to the battery so we can test it." 10 minutes later, they put their tools back in their boat and pulled away from the island. As they turned to head down the river, I noticed the name on the side of their boat, United Logistics Company. That name was one I had seen on some papers I shouldn't have looked at. I felt uneasy. It seemed like there were many layers to this situation. I took a quick look at their setup and recognized a special surveillance system used for watching distant places. One thing the guy didn't know was that the battery only had to work at night. It recharged with a solar panel during the day. I headed back to my boat and climbed in. Then I saw a gun aimed at me. "Emily, it's me." "I know. I just wanted to show you that I was ready. Is it loaded?" "The magazine is in, but I haven't loaded one in the chamber yet." "What did you find out?" "They set up a camera on the other side of the island to watch all the boats passing by. The images are sent by satellite somewhere." "Did you turn it off?" "No. That would be too obvious that something was wrong and they would come back. I think they believe we left yesterday morning instead of late like we actually did. They probably think we haven't made it this far yet. This will just give them a little warning that we are coming so they can get ready for us. I heard them say they were going to follow someone later today. I guess they won't do anything out in the open. We'll just go back to the river using this channel and avoid the camera, but we need to think of a plan to get past Memphis. This is where they will want to start following us, I'm sure." "Does that laptop have Wi-Fi?" "Yes. But we don't have a signal out here. Let's get going. If you see a signal, let me know, and we can stop to check." "You're in charge." "No. You are in charge. I am the captain. Remember? I care about you a lot. Now get this boat moving while I make coffee." I started the engine and untied us from the bank. I slowly steered away from the island, and back into the main river, about half a mile downstream from the camera. Even with a wide angle, it wouldn't see us from that far away. To be safe, I waited another half-mile before turning on the running lights. By the time I had a cup of coffee in my hand, Emily was at my side. I looked at the map, and there should be an open Wi-Fi spot about 10 miles from here. They have set up Wi-Fi spots along the river so the boats can stay in touch. It should work for about 10 miles, that's great. Let me know when you get a signal. I'll bring it up here, and we can work together. I really enjoy working with you." She went downstairs, and I turned on the radio to catch the morning news. All I heard was the usual chatter from people trying to sound clever about life. I kept it on in case they had something important to share later. I was watching the sunrise when Emily returned with a plate of toast, fruit, and some cinnamon rolls along with a laptop. She quickly connected to the Wi-Fi, and I asked her to find the address of United Logistics in Memphis. The internet was slow, but she discovered that their location was just south of the main bridge over the river, and that they had a dock. A picture from above showed the facility with 2 boats at the dock. One of them looked like the one I had seen before. The smaller boat appeared to be quicker than the larger one. "Can you send an email to your dad from here?" I asked. She didn't respond immediately, but soon she asked, "What should I say?" "If he can, ask him to watch the United Logistics dock around noon to see if any boats leave. If he sees any, have him text you yes. If not, he doesn't need to say anything. And if he wants, he can meet us at the town south of Memphis around 2. Just don't use identifying details in case someone reads his message." She nodded and began to type the message. After reading it back to me, she sent it off. 10 minutes later, we lost the signal. Emily put the laptop away, and I took a deep breath. So far, my choices had worked out well. I hoped we could catch a few more lucky breaks today. If we did, we had a good chance of reaching the safe house before it got dark. Then we could relax for a few days, and maybe these guys would stop bothering us. I was getting bored with the constant noise from the radio, and was looking for a CD to play when I caught a break. They were asking for workboat and towboat operators. A few barges had come loose about 15 miles south of Memphis, and were stuck against the levee. They needed 10 or 12 workboats to meet south of the bridge at noon to help pull them free. If I could join some boats going south to answer this call, I might be able to go right under the bridge without being seen. These are the kinds of chances that can really help make things work. I called down to Emily and asked her to watch the radar for any smaller boats heading south as we got closer to Memphis. She replied affirmatively. For the next hour, I noticed we were getting closer to populated areas, because there were more cabins and houses by the river. Most of the buildings were on stilts to protect them from rising water, indicating that people lived here. Emily informed me that she saw several boats tied together about 5 miles ahead. I increased speed to get closer. When I approached, I slowed down to come alongside gently. Using binoculars, I could see 4 boats tied together. One of them had the name Pull of the River written on the back. I spoke into the radio Emily's ride to Pull of the River. "Do you copy? Pull of the River here. What's happening? Are you all heading to the barge pull?" "Yes. We are waiting for another person, but he won't arrive for another half an hour. Are you coming too?" I was thinking about it. I just got my boat back from the shop, and I don't have all my equipment loaded yet, but I thought I'd come by and see if I can help out. "Join us. We're cooking some ribs and would love to have you, especially if you have some drinks on your boat." "We didn't get a chance to load our usual snacks," he joked. "I can bring a couple of cases, but they're not cold," I replied. "Cold or warm, they'll all end up in the river by the end of the day. Bring them along and you'll be welcome here." "I'll be there in 5 minutes. Over." I then heard him talking on the radio to the other boats, letting them know the drinks were on the way. The others honked their horns to show they understood. I called down to Emily. "Honey, we need to, I heard. I've got the first case out by the hatch, and I'm bringing the second one now. I'll put out the fenders. Which side should we choose?" I looked through the binoculars and said, "The left side, okay." I watched as she put 3 bumpers out on the left side. I picked that side because it would keep us away from any boats that might come looking for us. We tied up to the boat next to us. They happily took 2 cases of drinks and shared their boat number with us. Soon after, a fast boat appeared on our right side. We brought up 5 boxes of warm, good-smelling food. We passed 4 of them to the excited crew on each boat. I told the guys on the nearby boat that there were only 2 of us so they could enjoy our leftovers. This offer and the drinks helped us make a new friend. I thought this was the best way to feel safe. People on the river look out for each other. They might argue a lot when they're not working, but when a stranger gets too close, they come together to protect each other. The ribs were tasty, and there were plenty of them. We enjoyed them along with the side dishes, but didn't eat everything. Just about half was finished. Another boat came up next to us, and we shared what was left along with a couple of packs of soda with them. They were very thankful. Once everyone was ready, the outer boat untied and slowly moved out with the other boats following behind. When it was our turn, we followed closely behind them in a neat line for the last part of the trip to the bridge. We passed under it shortly after noon. I kept watching the United Logistics dock hoping to see some activity there, but I didn't notice anything happening. Emily had her phone on, but after 20 minutes without a message, I told her to turn it off. It seemed like either no one came out or Ray didn't receive our message. We blended in pretty well with the other work boats as we traveled south. Now there were 10 boats in our group. As we got closer to our destination, a river patrol boat came up to us. They told me they needed 4 boats by the nearest barge, and 5 by the other one. That was my signal, so I asked Emily to grab 5 bottles while I slowly moved next to the boat named Pull of the River. I called out to the captain. "Looks like we won't be needed anymore. Thanks for your kindness. Thanks for the drinks. I wish we had more. This might take all afternoon to get these boats free. I don't have any more drinks, but these may help make your trip home more enjoyable." "Oh wow, this will definitely make the ride back up the river better. Thank you. I assume this is Emily?" "Yes. And the boat is supposed to be called Emily's Pride, but the P keeps falling off." He chuckled and wished us good luck. I steered back to the center of the river, then headed towards the western bank. We would reach Helena in less than an hour, and I needed to get some fuel for our final stretch. I hoped Ray would be there, but if not, we would leave once the tank was full. I chose Helena because it had several fuel spots instead of just one. When we arrived, I backed the boat into a spot and turned the engine off. Emily tied the front and back securely, and I asked the worker to fill the tank with diesel. It was almost 2 when we walked to the marina store. There, at the only table outside, sat Ray and Sylvia, both enjoying a soda. They smiled at us. "Would you like to join us for a drink?" Ray asked, lowering his voice. "We might have someone watching us." I answered, "We'd love to. I'm Roger, and this is my fiancée, Emily. And what are your names?" "I'm Ray, and this lovely lady is Sylvia. We're just exploring the area today and noticed you at the fuel dock. Are you headed to New Orleans?" "No. We just took a short river trip for a couple of days. We need to take Emily back home so she can start summer school. We might head north from here." Ray nodded, and Sylvia picked up a book. "So, Emily, where do you go to school?" she asked. "I go to the University of Missouri in Columbia," Emily replied. "That sounds great. I studied at Washington University in St. Louis. There's a store over there. Would you like to do some shopping?" "Sure. I need to stretch my legs a bit. He has been working me really hard since we left. When we get married, I'm going to take charge." She playfully punched my shoulder. "Go ahead and enjoy shopping, but come back ready to help out. I'll show you what I can do with a broom," she joked as she squeezed my hand. Then she and Sylvia walked across the street to a busy store. No one seemed to follow them, and both Ray and I kept an eye out for any movement near them. Ray said, "Could you show me your boat? I've been thinking about getting one, and yours looks really nice." "Of course. I need to grab some drinks for my collection," I said. I went inside and picked up a case of drinks. Ray stood up and I noticed a young guy on a motorcycle paying attention to us. He looked like someone who was keeping an eye on things. I joined Ray, and we walked toward the ramp at the dock. When we reached the gate, I used the key the worker gave me to open it. They didn't want anyone who wasn't part of the boat crew wandering around the docks. As I closed the gate, I spotted the young guy standing under a tree nearby with a phone in his hand. We made our way down and climbed aboard the boat. We were about 50 yards from the watchers so we could talk freely. I pretended to show Ray the engine and steering area, then the cabin. Ray told me they were keeping an eye on the United dock from a restaurant nearby and hadn't seen anything of note while watching. He thought he recognized us among the group of workboats, but wasn't entirely sure. When they left, he saw the young man on the motorcycle waiting out front. A mile later, he was behind them as they crossed the bridge to the west side and kept pace until they reached Helena. He and Silva were having a good time together and didn't try to lose the guy. He said they were enjoying themselves, and jokingly added that it felt more like a Galaxy-class experience than anything else. I smiled and asked if there was a future for them. He said they were considering that. They would need some time, but she was coming to Columbia next week for several days. Tom and Carla were coming over too. He then informed me that Tom had discovered there were likely 2 teams of 2 actively searching for us. One team was responsible for hurting Jefferson, and the other had visited Marquette. They seemed to be collaborating with someone in Washington. Tom had asked some of his agents to gather more information. He inquired about my thoughts on United Logistics, and I shared my insights regarding their river monitor. He nodded in understanding. To keep the watcher from growing too curious, we walked back up the dock and out of the gate. As we passed the watcher, Ray asked how much fuel the boat could hold. I told him it was about half of what it actually was, and mentioned that I needed to check the engine, because we were using more fuel than I anticipated, and had to stop every 100 miles or so. When we returned to the ship's store, Sylvia and Emily came out, each holding a bag of their purchases. They were smiling and seemed to be enjoying their time together. I went inside to pay for the fuel and then stepped back outside. Ray whispered, "I think you all should get going." "We will stay here for a bit to see if anyone is following you," I replied. I added, "If someone is following, it could be from one of the 2 boats from United." He nodded, and we shook hands. Sylvia leaned close and said softly while hugging me, "She is just what you need. If I couldn't be with you, I would pick her for you. Thanks. Please look after Ray." "I will." Emily gave Ray a gentle hug, and they shared a few quiet words. Then I took her hand, and we made our way back to the boat and set off. Once we were back on the river, I sped up faster than before. I had been cautious to save fuel because we were close to our limit, which was a bit farther than the distance from St. Louis to Memphis. Our next stop was less than half that distance. I wanted to reach it before any boat from Memphis could catch us. As we traveled, I filled Emily in on what her dad had shared with me. She replied that her dad had only shared a few simple things with Sylvia. She understood the reason and didn't want to learn more right now in case she was asked about it again. They had spent time together getting to know each other, and as I had guessed, they got along very well. I told her she was going to Columbia next week to visit. She smiled and said she wasn't sure if they would even go out at all during her visit. "Hey, you should think more positively about your dad," I said. "I know my dad. They'll stop for dinner on the way home from the airport. Then when they get back to the house, they will be wiped out. He's just as lazy as you are." I thought he was better than me. Whatever. I raced at a fast speed for an hour, and then slowed down again. If a boat left Memphis when we arrived in Helena, It would have to go much faster than either of the United boats could go to catch up with us before dark. We would reach the turnoff in about an hour. And once we were off the river, I didn't think anyone could follow us. We would enter a maze of bayous and swamps that only the locals knew how to navigate. I only knew the way because I had a special map with GPS points for every twist and turn. The brother of one of my SEAL teammates had shared these with me and 2 others at his brother's funeral. He wanted us to have them in case we wanted to escape for a few days. It was a family spot deep in the swamp, mostly used by him and his brother. Now that his brother was gone, it was mostly empty. I had mentioned to him that I might need it early in the summer, and he had just smiled, saying I could come and stay as long as I liked. As we got closer to the turnoff, I called Emily. I let her know we would be leaving the river soon, and told her to turn off the GPS and mapping software. The sonar might help us though. She didn't ask anything and just followed my instructions. My feelings for her grew stronger every minute. I slowed down as I got closer to the spot on the map. I was using the little device I bought because I had saved the locations in its memory. The notes from my brother were written on napkins, and they fell apart quickly. The entrance looked like a thick wall of hanging vines, but I could see the water behind it. So I carefully pushed through the vines. There was indeed a channel behind the wall of vines. It was darker here than on the river. Visibility wasn't the biggest issue since you could hardly see more than 100 feet ahead. There were walls of vines and tree stumps to avoid. The water looked deep enough and wide enough, but there were lots of hidden dangers. The first turn came about half a mile after we entered the bayou. I carefully turned the boat and realized that if I were just a bit longer, I might not have made the turn. The next few turns were easier, and then we had a long straight path before one last turn to reach our destination. That last turn was hard to see even when another boat was nearby. The GPS showed it was right there, but all I saw was thick brush. I held my breath and brought the boat close to the wall. It started to swing away. I discovered it was a steel gate that seemed to work like a spring. The gate made a noise as I entered a small lagoon with a dock on the other side. It was clear that I had to make a tight turn and dock on the right side. Once we tied up, I looked straight ahead and saw that the exit was another gate, which opened from the inside out. If you didn't know, you wouldn't guess that there were 1 or 2 boats just 20 feet away. I helped Emily out of the boat, and we walked down the wooden path toward the raised house 50 feet away. The stairs took us up to the house, which was about 12 feet high off the ground. I opened the door and saw a clean kitchen and dining area. There was also a living room with a radio and television, and behind that was a bedroom. It was a nice and simple cabin for a getaway. On the way back, I noticed an envelope taped to the back of the door with my name on it. I took out the note and read, "I noticed you are missing. I think you might be coming here. If you get this, you already know one secret that can help keep you safe. The others are that this island was used for smuggling during Prohibition. The gated lagoon kept the boats hidden. This is an island. To the left of the living room, there is a small bridge that can be pulled back. The water between here and the road is deep and often has alligators, so no one would be smart to try to swim across. The road ends here, but you can walk about a mile back to a small village for supplies. No one will ask you questions about who you are or where you come from. They will treat you well if you arrive from this way. There's Wi-Fi at the cafe if you need it. The cafe has a satellite dish on the roof so you can watch TV too. Other than that, feel free to stay as long as you like and enjoy your time." Emily read the note with me and said, "Wow, what a great place. Do you want to go to the village tonight?" "Let's wait for morning," I replied. "I think we've had enough excitement for today. Let's eat on the boat and avoid making a mess in the kitchen here. We can come up here, relax, and watch some TV." "That sounds like a great idea." We headed back to the boat, and I heard a helicopter flying above again. This one was moving fast and high up, but when I looked, all I could see were trees. That's probably all they would see unless they had special equipment. While on the boat, I checked the map on Emily's laptop and felt happy. When we were ready to go, we could follow our path back to the big river, or we could head west through more swamps to reach the Red River. From there we could avoid all the busy spots on the Mississippi, and the traffic that only got worse the farther south we went. It would also lead us to the intercoastal waterway, allowing us to be even more hidden than before. Having this second option made me feel much more secure if things went wrong. We cooked dinner on the boat and ate in silence. Eventually, Emily spoke up, sharing that she found the surroundings both interesting and a bit intimidating. She asked if we could sleep on the boat instead of in the house. I agreed. After dinner we walked back to the house, turned on a light in the kitchen, and relaxed on the couch. The TV showed a list of movies. We picked a comedy hoping to find some laughter amid the stress of the last few days, so we chuckled a bit even though the movie wasn't particularly amusing and the plot was lighthearted. We walked back to the boat with a lantern and secured it for the night before settling down. In the middle of the night, I heard small noises on the boat. I assumed they were raccoons or some other small animals. We hadn't left any food out, so I figured they would be disappointed. In the morning I discovered they hadn't been deterred at all. They had chewed on the cable for the radar, rendering it unusable. While I might have been bothered by that, the animals were already safe in their homes. Emily laughed when I shared the news and mentioned she had an extra cable. The store had advised her to keep one handy. At that moment, I learned that she had purchased all this equipment rather than borrowing it from the college. She clarified that it was through the college, allowing her a nice discount, which made her feel better about the expense. We decided to walk into town for breakfast, and Emily took her phone to check for any messages. The walk took 20 minutes and was a pleasant stroll through the woods. The breakfast place was open, and after we ordered, Emily took out her phone, logged in, and then gasped. I looked over, and she held the phone up for me to see. The message said, "Urgent. Call Thomas Sapp." It was 8 in the morning, so he was likely at his office. I took her phone and dialed his number. He picked up on the third ring. "Hey Tom, I just got your message to call." He sounded serious. "Do you know a guy named Charlie Carson?" "Yes. He was one of my teammates in the SEALs. Why do you ask?" "He is the chief of security for United Logistics and is in charge of finding you. We have a team that caused trouble while searching for you." They claim he gave the orders. "But once he learned you were on a boat going downriver, he figured out where you'd be." "Does that mean anything to you?" "Yes. The brother of another teammate gave me directions to a spot in the swamp if I needed to hide. He shared the same info with Charlie and someone else. They only have directions over land. I got directions for the boat. I have a team going to deal with him this morning, but I'm not sure if he has sent people to find you already. If you can, you should move to a safer place." "I'll do that. I'll reach out to you later for an update. Okay? Take care." He hung up the phone. Our breakfast was ready when I gave the phone back to Emily. I told her to eat quickly because we needed to leave soon. We finished our meal in no time. I left $20 on the table, and we headed out. As we walked briskly, I quickly shared what I had learned. When we reached the boat, I took out the rifle and gave her the shotgun and pistol. I instructed her to stay on the boat and wait. If she heard any loud noises, she was to start the engine and wait for me. If anyone tried to come through the gates, she had to be prepared to act. I promised I would come running if I heard anything. Then I went to the back of the boat and opened a new hatch. I took out a larger firearm along with some special ammunition. I hopped off the boat and made my way back towards the house, sticking to the ground level and hiding behind a rock wall. I figured that if a group left at 6, they would arrive any minute. I planned to wait about 30 minutes, and then we'd leave no matter what. I waited only 5 minutes when I heard a loud engine and tires crunching on the gravel road. A big truck pulled up and 4 men jumped out. The leader quickly called my name and told me to come outside, saying no one would get hurt. He counted to 10 and then nodded to the others, who began firing at the house. That made me really angry, and I decided that the leader needed to be stopped. I grabbed my rifle and aimed for his leg. The others didn't even notice someone was shooting back because of their noise. They finally realized something was wrong when he fell to the ground shouting in alarm. The next shots they heard were aimed at the truck's engine and cabin, and those struck their targets effectively. I only heard the news as I ran back to the boat that Emily had ready when I jumped on board. On a sudden thought, I told Emily to drive the boat out slowly, then turn right and speed up. I had a feeling a boat might be waiting for us outside, and I was ready just in case. Emily followed my instructions. She pushed the gate open and turned right. Just then, I heard shots being fired from the left. I hoped they couldn't aim well since we were 500 yards apart. I didn't worry too much. I was confident in my aim from a distance. The other boat turned towards us, giving me a clear target. A moment later, their shooting stopped, and the back of their boat was severely damaged. I set down my gun and went over to check on Emily. "Are you okay?" She started crying and hugged me tight. "I was so scared that you were hurt. Are you okay?" "I'm fine. They never even knew where I was." "What were those loud bangs I heard?" "They were from the illegal ammunition I mentioned, so please don't tell Tom about it." "How am I supposed to explain something I don't even understand, really?" "I love you too, Emily." Hopefully, those were the last of the noises, but let's be careful. "Can you bring the laptop up here? We need to check how this system of channels will work for us." She went downstairs and I heard her yell, "Oh no." They damaged the laptop. Firing a weapon from 500 yards means the projectiles can hit many things. At least we weren't hurt. The paper map wasn't as helpful as the computer one, but I got a basic idea, and we followed the main channels. It was almost like they put up signs because every turn was clear and wide. Many people in larger boats traveled this way to reach the Red River. As we made our way through the twisty waterways, I heard helicopters and a few sirens in the distance, echoing through the trees and swamps. When we finally reached the new river, I headed south. We traveled for 5 miles to the nearest town and docked at their public boat ramp. It was well past lunch, and we were finally relaxed enough to think about food again. We walked into town and found a cafe still serving meals. We each ordered a lunch plate with meatloaf, and I asked Emily to call Tom. "Hi there, favorite uncle," I said. "I know you're my only uncle, but you're still my favorite." I laughed. How do I know what he used? He made me stay on the boat because he was worried I might get hurt. I wanted to help. I handed the phone to Emily. Okay, talk to him. He wants to know details and I don't have any. Hi Tom, Emily said. Alright, here's the situation, Tom replied. We have a blown-up truck. 3 guys who are really scared. 1 man with a badly hurt knee, and a damaged boat with 2 guys trying to swim away from the alligators. Oh, and that house over there is full of holes. Can you tell me a story that I can believe? After I talked to you this morning, we returned to the house. I mean, the boat. I thought the house might just be a target. I handed the shotgun and 9 to Emily and told her to start the engines if there was any trouble. I grabbed a few things and went back up near the house to see what might happen. Then a truck pulled up, and 4 guys got out. The guy with the hurt knee shouted for me to come out, saying no one would get hurt. He gave me about 10 seconds to respond, then nodded to the others. They started firing at the sides of the house. That made me really angry, so I confronted their leader about his actions. How many shots did you fire? Tom, I'm no longer in the service, but I still know how to aim. 1 shot from about 75 yards. Okay. But if you tell me you shot at the truck's engine and cab, I'll be really let down. Of course not. I aimed elsewhere for that. I figured as much. By the look of it, those must have been special rounds you used. Aren't those against the law here? Yes. They are. What happened with the boat? I thought the 3 guys in front were no longer a threat, so I went back to the boat. Emily had the engine running, so I told her to pull away and turn right. As soon as we got past the gate, that person started firing at us. That really upset me because he was aiming dangerously close to Emily, so I aimed carefully, and I think I hit his engine. You must have aimed well or struck the back of the boat because it took a significant impact. I guess you used your skill again. How many shots did you take? Just 1. But since it was quite far away, I was ready to take another if I missed. Emily leaned over and shouted into the phone. That guy ruined my new laptop. Tom asked, really? I said. He must have fired off quite a few shots. It was only a matter of time before something got hit. So they shot several times, and you only fired once. Right? Yes. I don't like to waste ammunition. I never have, even when they provided it in large amounts. Speaking as a concerned citizen, I really appreciate that. Now I'll need a formal statement from you. I don't know what else to say. I've never seen these people before. I don't know who they work for or why they came after me. As far as I know, they just wanted to target me. But it really makes me angry that they were also after Emily. If you can give me any names or locations, I'll find out the reason. This whole situation is really frustrating. I just want to relax by the river and enjoy my time with my fiancé. They're making it very hard to do that. For the first time, Tom laughed. You know, Stuart, I've recorded this whole talk, and Carla is going to find it amusing. By the way, she is our office's local legal advisor. I'll let her handle the details for an official report. Charlie Carson is talking to some important people today, and maybe we will find out who is involved and why. So are you coming back to St. Louis now? Emily was listening and replied, We aren't coming back until he takes me to the ocean. Sounds like we're going to the Gulf for a few days before we head back. That's perfect. We plan to go to Galveston. Something came up for Ray, and he is going there for a couple of days next week. I'll have him call you with the details, but keep in touch in case I need more information. We will do that. We need to leave. Our lunch has arrived. Enjoy. The call ended. I could tell he was using a satellite phone. So we're heading to the Gulf? I asked Emily. That's the closest ocean. Maybe we can visit a nice beach somewhere else later, but for now the Gulf is just fine. I need to buy some new maps. I need a new computer, or at least a better screen for this one. Oh, and I found out we need to fix some damage in the cabin. I'm glad that person missed. If they had been a little more accurate, they could have hurt you, and I'm the only one meant to tease you. I might get a tattoo that says Stewards. No way. No one is going to put a needle on you. That's the end of it. We'll see. Let's go check out what this place has for us. We didn't find much, but I did get an updated map of the river and some supplies for the cabin. Emily was looking for a computer shop, but instead found a flat-screen TV at a thrift store. It had a USB connection and cost $10. She bought it to see if it could work as a monitor. When we got back to the boat, I started the engine while Emily tried to set up the TV. Soon we were sailing past small towns and farms in central Louisiana. The northern part of the state looked very different from the south, which had mostly marshes and swamps. If a big flood or hurricane hit, much of the state could be underwater. After a while, Emily said the TV worked as a monitor, though the picture wasn't perfect. It would be fine for now until we found something better. The important thing was that the information she had gathered was safe. She had also fixed the radar cable, and only needed to connect it to the Red Dome when we stopped for the night. 5 days later, we turned off the Gulf and into Galveston Bay. We both had nice tans, with Emily being the most tan because she loved lying on the deck in the morning and late afternoon sun. During the hottest part of the day, we stayed in the shade. We shared special moments together on the deck, at the beach, and even in the warm water of the Gulf. My feelings for her grew stronger, and it seemed like she wanted to share those moments too. Still, we actually went one whole day on our trip without any special moments. The docks on Galveston Island were pricey, but they were worth it to be close to the strand and the restaurant area. The beach on the Gulf side was over a mile away, so taking a taxi or a ride was easier. If we wanted to visit the quieter beaches on the West End, we needed a rental car. Luckily, Ray and Sylvia were there, and they had a car. We met at the bar of a restaurant 2 hours after we docked. We had showered and changed into casual clothes for the evening. Emily wore a nice skirt and shoes with a short top, while I had on my only pair of pants and a sports shirt. When we saw them, Ray stood up and joked, "What did you do with my daughter? You must have picked up this island girl somewhere." I playfully nudged him for that. "Oh, you just dressed her up to confuse me." Sylvia laughed and hugged us both warmly. For the next hour we caught up with each other while enjoying some drinks. We shared stories about our trip down the Red River and the Intercoastal Waterway until we reached Beaumont, where we took a boat out to Galveston. After that, Ray urged Sylvia to share her news. Sylvia turned a little shy. I encouraged her. "Come on, Sylvia. You've always been reserved, but I can't think of anything that would make you blush this much." "Well, I made a decision. I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I didn't act on it until Ray nudged me," she said, taking a deep breath. "I have quit my job, and I'm going back to school to work on my doctorate." "I think that's amazing. I couldn't be happier for you," I replied. Emily looked at her closely, a playful smile on her face, and asked, "You didn't say where you're going or what you'll be studying." Sylvia turned even redder, and I saw what Emily was doing. "Well, I found a university with a program that I really like, and the people there are wonderful. I had a great interview with the faculty, and they want me to join them. The man who will be assisting me with my research has already accepted my idea for my project," and Emily chimed in. "That's fantastic, Sylvia. But where are you going to school, and who is your advisor?" Sylvia glanced at Ray, who was also smiling. She quickly let the words spill out. "I am going to Mizzou in Columbia, and your dad is my advisor. If you give me any more trouble, I will have to teach you a lesson. You'll need to ask Stuart for that. He says he has control over me now. We will discuss that later. You can change any room in the house except mine. What makes you think, Sylvia? I can see it in your eyes, and on my dad's happy face, that you won't be staying in a dorm or an apartment. I will be glad to have you as my stepmother as long as you accept me and Stuart as your daughter and son-in-law. That might be tough for you both since you liked each other but were too scared to act on it." Sylvia turned bright red and looked to Ray for help. He simply said, "I told you that taking it slow wouldn't work. Everything is out in the open now. You did well." Sylvia looked at me, and I said, "I don't know if I can see you as my mother-in-law. But Sylvia, you will always be my friend. I promise to keep an eye on your stepdaughter like you can. My stepmother and I are going to be best friends and make your lives interesting at times. Who knows, maybe we'll have kids around the same time." Finally, Sylvia calmed down and said, "Friend, this is all new for me. Family, kids, everything. Please be patient with me. I'm used to being around strong men, but a young woman like you makes me a bit nervous. Okay, I'll be calm around you until you feel more at ease. Carla will help with that too." I added, "Ray told me to focus on what she does, not what she says. I found that to be a good way to understand things." "Stop it. She can definitely make her own friends." "Oh, I think trouble is coming," I said with a grin. "Invite your friends," she shot back. Everyone laughed at our friendly teasing. Ray took us to a seafood restaurant they found. We enjoyed a wonderful dinner on a terrace overlooking the Gulf. We shared stories and learned more about each other. Sylvia was like me. She didn't have any siblings. She worked hard to pay for college and got a job with the government where she climbed the ladder. She hadn't dated much, even though many of the confident men at work showed interest in her. She earned her master's degree in public policy at Georgetown and felt mostly happy in D.C. Moving to Nashville was a big change for her, and she fell in love with country music, but she still enjoyed classical music too. When she met Ray, she said it made her feel young and excited. He was steady and mature, everything she thought she wasn't. The rest of the story moved quickly from meeting to becoming close to each other, and soon they were planning a future together. She had really come to love the campus. When Ray brought her to a faculty party and she was warmly welcomed, she felt even more drawn in. It was rare for them to have a student with 15 years of government experience in their doctoral program, and they were excited about the possibility. Ray mentioned that he needed to visit someone at NASA the next day, and invited us to join him to see the waterfront in Kemah. He suggested we could have dinner there after his meeting. Everyone agreed it was a great idea, so we planned to meet at their hotel at 8 in the morning for breakfast. We returned to the harbor area, and they showed us their hotel, which was very close to the boat. After saying goodnight, Emily and I shared a quiet moment together, listening to the music from a nearby club. The next day brought many new discoveries. We dropped Ray off at the main NASA building and spent the morning at the nearby museum enjoying the early days of space exploration. After that, we drove over the Kima Bridge and admired the sailboats going in and out of Clear Lake into Galveston Bay. Below the bridge was the village of Kima, filled with restaurants and shops along the water. We decided to have lunch on the deck, watching the boats pass by just a few feet away. After lunch, the girls did what they love best, shopping. I went along for a while until Ray called. I told the girls I would pick him up and then meet them at a different restaurant a short drive away. I took the same route back and picked up Ray 20 minutes later. He looked really happy. "You seem like you had a great day, Ray." "I did. It was a very good one. Let's find a place to chat before we meet the girls. I need to talk to you about something." We drove back to Kima and went to the bar in the restaurant where we were set to meet in an hour. We each ordered a drink and a shrimp cocktail to share as we sat by the railing overlooking the water. Ray got straight to the point. "Stuart, I'm going to ask you to do something you might not want to do." "Oh, what is it?" I replied. "I found some information about your last mission. I want to share it with the naval group. The information is interesting on its own, but I think it will be much more meaningful if you share your story too. I know you have difficult memories from that time, and I understand that, but this could be very important. Would you consider doing it?" "Ray, I don't really know what you found, or why it would matter what I say. But if you want me to, I suppose I can. It's going to be really hard for me to talk about that day. I can't promise that I won't feel nervous. I understand, and I assure you that no one will make you feel uncomfortable. Your story and the other details are very important. I'll set everything up and then we'll see what happens." "Oh, here they come now, and it looks like one of us has a financial surprise." For a moment I felt a weight on my shoulders after speaking with Ray, but it lifted when Emily approached, playfully greeted me, and dropped a bag in my lap. She said, "This is for you, my captain." I opened it to find a large pirate hat and a vest. Ray asked, "What's that for?" "He keeps pretending to be a pirate and capturing me, so—" "Oh, never mind. Some things a dad doesn't need to know." Sylvia smiled and said, "I understand, that's why I got you these." She handed Ray a bag, and he took out a detective hat, a curved pipe, and a large magnifying glass. We all shared a good laugh when Ray put on the hat and said he loved it. He even used the magnifying glass to inspect his food before he ate. The waitress thought he was being humorous when he spoke in a playful accent while ordering. We had a pleasant dinner in Kima, and watched the boats returning. It was almost magical to see a long line of sailboats coming back with their sails glowing in the evening light. The drive back to Galveston was calm as we all reflected on our fun adventures. Ray and Sylvia were flying back to St. Louis the next morning. Sylvia had taken some days off work, and they were figuring out her move to Columbia while she worked on her papers at the university. Emily and I planned to spend one more day shopping and exploring the Strand. We would leave the next morning for our trip back to St. Louis. It was a busy day filled with shopping and carrying our finds back to the boat. We laughed and enjoyed each other's company throughout the day. At dinner in a local restaurant, Emily became more serious. "Stuart, what are you thinking about doing when we get back?" she asked. "I'm still deciding," I said. "The first thing I want is to find us a place to live, then I'll figure out my next steps. Part of that might depend on what Tom discovers. There could still be some past issues to deal with. What do you want from me? I just want you to feel better. You should do what makes you happy. I'll be happiest when we get married. Then let's plan to do that before school starts in the fall." I agree. The next morning I carefully steered the boat out of the slip and set off for the intercoastal. We chose to travel this way instead of going offshore since some bad weather was coming later in the week. We reached Lake Charles before the storm arrived. We stayed tied up at the marina for the day to wait out the storm. It was Emily's 21st birthday, and we celebrated by taking her to her first casino. We ate, enjoyed refreshments, and played games for several hours before going to a hotel room for the night. She won $1,000 and felt lucky. She wanted to take a chance on one last game, but I reminded her that wise players know when to stop. She smiled and agreed, and then we went to sleep. 10 days later, we arrived back at the same marina in St. Louis where we had started. This time, I rented a slip for a longer stay. I wasn't sure if we would use the boat a lot during the school year, but we still had summer left, and there was plenty of interesting river to explore north of St. Louis. We had let Tom and Carla know when we would be back, and they were there waiting for us along with a surprise. They had saved my new truck from a storage place in Tennessee, and Carla, my lawyer, had taken charge of it. I decided to drive down to see Marquette and give him the truck that was in storage. We took out all the food, drinks, and our personal items, and drove to their house where we would stay until we got settled. Ray and Sylvia were there. Sylvia was showing Ray how to grill outside. Somehow Ray had never learned how to grill like many guys do. He did manage to make the potatoes, salad, and baked beans though. After dinner, Ray asked me if I was free next week to drive down to Nashville and bring back some of Sylvia's things. He was going to use Tom's truck and rent a trailer. They thought they could bring everything back in one trip if we had 2 trucks. I agreed, but mentioned that I needed to make a stop in Mississippi to take care of the other truck. It turned out that it was easy to time things right. They would get everything ready, and when we arrived, we would just load up and head out. Then Sylvia handed me a gift. She mentioned that the National Park Office in Missouri had a job opening for someone with experience to manage the staff in that state. Since I still worked for the government, she had put my name in for the position. I had an interview set for 2 weeks later. I felt a bit unsure about it until I learned more about the role. She told me I was just the right fit for the job. I said we would see how it goes. Tom and Ray smiled, and Carla looked pleased. As we drank coffee and relaxed, Ray casually said, "Stuart, I would like you to join me for a meeting on Friday here in St. Louis. I think you will find it interesting." For some reason I felt like something important was about to happen, but I wasn't sure what. The quiet in the room made me feel like everyone was watching me until I spoke up. "Sure. I don't have any plans except to keep your daughter happy. By the way, we want to get married before school starts. Does anyone have a good day when everyone is free?" Carla said. "August 10, that's a sure thing." Emily laughed, and Carla joined in. I felt hesitant when I replied, "Why is that date special?" "Because that's Tom and my anniversary. And it's also the day Ray and Sylvia are getting married. If you two choose that day, no one will forget our anniversary. You can decide if you want to have one wedding together or separate ones with a shared celebration afterward." For some reason this all made perfect sense to me. I simply asked, "Emily, is the 10th a good day for you?" "It will be the best day of my life now." That made us all happy. The next night, Tom had tickets to the Cardinal game, and the 3 guys went to enjoy the game while the women planned something else. We had a lot of refreshments and tasty snacks. By the time we got back home, we just wanted to see our ladies, and they were okay with that, so we didn't have to worry about their plans. The next morning was Friday, and I put on my slacks and a nice shirt. Emily and I rode with Ray to a government office building downtown. I felt nervous when we walked in and passed through security. I almost expected something to happen, but it didn't. Instead, Ray took us into a courtroom that had a sign saying nothing was scheduled for that day. As we entered, Ray pulled me aside and said, "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. Today, just share your story, and don't worry about what happens next. You are safe." Emily held my hand tightly, and I realized she had prepared me for the past 2 days for this moment. When I entered the room I saw 5 of my teammates sitting together. They waved and smiled at me, but I was guided to a table in front where I sat next to Emily. A few moments later, Tom, Carla, and Sylvia came in and sat behind us. I started to feel anxious, then everything changed. 4 Navy officers in their formal uniforms walked in from the back. All 4 were high-ranking admirals, and they were with 4 other naval officers. I hadn't seen this many important people in one place since I went to the Army-Navy football game last year. The leader among them quickly began to speak. "Welcome, Michaels." "Yes, sir." "It was quite unexpected and left us puzzled," he replied thoughtfully. The admiral nodded, considering the implications. "Thank you for your honesty. It could be vital for our review. Let's proceed." One of the other officers interjected, "Hold on. Could there be any other reason for this lack of a debriefing?" Mr. Michaels paused, weighing his words carefully. "It's difficult to say. Perhaps there were higher priorities at the time." The admiral continued, "We need to ensure all angles are covered. We cannot overlook anything that might impact the understanding of the situation." The tension in the room was palpable, as each person considered the weight of the discussion. As the meeting moved forward, they explored various facets of the case, highlighting some unresolved issues. The exchange of ideas and perspectives was critical for reassessing the information on record. The atmosphere remained serious, reflecting the gravity of the topics being discussed, and everyone present understood the importance of their discretion. They were committed to examining the facts thoroughly to uncover the truth behind the matter. "Michaels." Before I could respond, Captain Myers looked at my team and asked, "Gentlemen, can you confirm what Mr. Michaels just said?" Everyone nodded. One of them added, "I even asked about it, and was told not to worry and to keep quiet." Captain Myers turned back to the Admiral and said, "I understand that everything Mr. Michaels will share is his personal account. The other members of the team saw things differently, and we will explain that shortly. They haven't talked to each other for a while, and I asked them to come today to share their view of events. As you can see, they all agreed that there was no debriefing. The record also shows that none of the people involved spoke at the official hearing." The Admiral frowned and said, "You have my full attention now. Please continue." "Thank you. Let's start from the beginning. Mr. Michaels, before the mission, did you take part in any of the early meetings?" "No, sir. The commanding officer went to those meetings, and then told us about the plan and the mission details." "What did he say, and how did you feel about it?" "He mentioned that it was a simple rescue mission at a mountain location occupied by the Taliban. He expected to face about 10 to 12 Taliban fighters, and anticipated there would be little resistance. I felt anxious about this because the Taliban are not usually known to show little resistance. Myers looked at the others to see if they agreed. They all nodded. He turned back and asked, "Did the mission go as planned?" "No, it did not. I have a map of the area. Can you explain what happened? Can I stand up and show you on the map?" "Please do." "In our meetings we were told we would be dropped here about 4 miles from the compound. We were supposed to hike along this path and get into position here and here before starting our operation. As the sniper, I was meant to be on top of this hill so I could see the compound. But whether it was on purpose or by mistake, we were dropped here, less than a mile from the compound and right up the hill from the gates. The commanding officer sent me to this hill on the other side to take my position. The rest of the team started moving up the hill in this area, until the shooting began. They found a safe spot along this line." Myers looked at the other team members and they all agreed with what I had said. "Do you know who started the shooting?" I hadn't reached the top of the hill yet to see what was happening, but from the sound of the guns, it was the Taliban using their AK-47s. What happened next? When I got into position, I saw several Taliban firing down at us, and our team was trying to shoot back as they found targets. I looked through my scope and realized there were many more Taliban than just 10 or 12. Sorry. Can I ask for a clarification? Your weapon that day was a standard .5000 caliber sniper rifle? Yes. That was our regular weapon, but we were testing a new video scope. Someone had brought a scope that recorded what we were seeing. I had never used one before, but had heard we were giving them a try. All I had to do was turn off the safety, and the scope would record whatever I pointed it at. Thank you. Let's return to that later. Please go on. I felt the air in the room grow thick with tension as I started to speak again. The gate opened, and a man walked out waving a white flag. I heard the commanding officer shout for everyone to stop firing. All the shooting ceased. The officer stood and watched as the man pulled on a rope, revealing 10 individuals all tied together with devices. Tears streamed down my face. No one said anything until I found my voice once more. I spotted movement on the second-floor balcony. A man was standing there watching. He looked so pleased with himself, hiding behind the balcony wall and looking down at everything happening below. I aimed my sight at him. I knew deep down what he was going to do. He glanced up at me and I saw a mocking smile as he lifted his phone to his face. I hoped he would reconsider, but I knew he wouldn't. He was going to take action without regard for the consequences, and then he actually did it. He pressed the button and I heard a loud sound. I pulled the trigger, and it felt like everything went dark. I felt quiet as tears continued to flow down my face. I felt 2 gentle hands on me, and someone pressed a bottle of water to my lips. It felt like a minute, maybe 5, before anyone spoke. It was Captain Myers. He asked, "What did you do after that?" Honestly, after that, it was all a blur. I heard the chaos below, but I just made my way back down the hill. I wasn't looking out for anyone. I just climbed down feeling terrible for not preventing what had happened. "Why didn't you?" I raised my voice. "I was told to stop firing." I should have ignored that order, but I adhered to it. "It's okay, Stuart. Please tell us what happened next." When I walked back down the hill, the turmoil had ceased. Our team had taken down all the adversaries. There were around 30 or 40 of them. Honestly, I didn't care about that. I put my weapon down, picked up a shovel and started digging a hole. Then I began to gather what I could find and place them in the hole. They deserved more respect than to be left scattered in that terrible place. Some of the other guys came over to help me. I'm not sure how long we worked, but we finally finished and covered the hole. One of the guys asked if we should call for a pickup. I said yes and quietly added something like, "And maybe call in some air support to erase this place." 30 minutes later, the helicopters arrived to take us away. As we were getting on, 4 fighter planes came in and turned the top of the mountain into dust. Then we flew back to camp. Stuart, I have 2 last questions for you. You mentioned that you put your rifle against the wall, but you didn't talk about it after that. Did you use it again or take it with you? No. I fired that 1 shot, and after that, I don't remember much until I got on the helicopter. Someone handed it to me then. That's all I know. What happened to the videoscope and tape when you landed? I'm not sure. A man named Baxter or Baker took it off the rifle, and I never saw it again. Parts of the tape were shown at the hearing 2 weeks later. That's okay, Stuart. I hope that sharing your story for the first time will help you feel better. The rest of your team did not see what you saw, but they agree on the parts they witnessed. As a sailor, I want you to know that you are not to blame for what happened. You followed orders. The other side is responsible for their actions. Thank you, but I still wish I had acted earlier. Maybe one of those individuals could have still been safe. There are a few times in my career when I wish I had gone against orders too. You are a strong man, Stuart. You will get through this. Thank you. Sorry for my words, Admiral. Don't apologize. I believe we all understand what Stuart is feeling and what you said to him. Let's take a 10-minute break, shall we? Suddenly I was surrounded by Emily, Sylvia, and my teammates. They all said they never knew that part of the story. My head was full of words and sounds until I heard the Admiral call everyone back to focus. Mr. Michaels, we thank you for your report and recognize that this was a tough memory for you. As Captain Myers mentioned, please do not feel bad for doing your job and following orders. None of us can know what will happen in the future, but we can all share in the sadness of the past. Now Captain Myers, do you have more to share? Yes sir, we do. Just as Mr. Michaels' report is just one person's view and hasn't been confirmed by anyone else. I will now let Dr. Larson share more details. Thank you, Captain Myers. Admiral, as the captain mentioned, without other evidence, we only have one person's report, and that may not be enough to change the official record. The important part is the tape and what happened to it. I found out that the person involved was a former CIA agent named Sam Baxter. At that time he was working with the Department of State in Afghanistan. The day after the mission he flew to Kabul and got the video saved at a military lab there. According to the rules, 2 copies of the video were made on DVDs. However, the technician who made the copies confirmed that Baxter also asked for a copy on a flash drive. He made that copy too. I have a statement about this in the document you have. I have not been able to find any original DVDs in the State Department files I can access. Baxter passed away 2 years ago. I went to see his wife, and she kindly let me look through his personal items. During my visit, I found a flash drive labeled Afghan Videos. After checking it, I believe it contains the missing video footage we needed. I had NASA review it 2 weeks ago, and they confirmed that it seems to be complete and unedited. If it's okay with you, I would like to show it to you. It lasts about 10 minutes. Sure, go ahead, let's see it. The room darkened, and the projector displayed the video on the screen. Right from the first scene I felt like I was back on the hill observing the area and seeing the gate open as people came out. Then the camera moved up, and I saw familiar eyes again. They had a smile and a strong gaze. I shouted, "You horrible person!" Emily pulled me back and held me close. I knew something unsettling was about to happen, so I buried my face in Emily's shoulder. I could hear the others gasping when they saw what I had seen. Someone held up a phone and pressed a button, and then Emily gasped when it all went silent. Ray said, "I want to stop here because what you have watched so far is just what Stewart said." He gave very clear details, but the rest of the video wasn't taken by Stewart as he claimed. I do not know where it came from. A voice from the team spoke up. "I know, sir. As Stewart mentioned, we were burying the girls, and he had his rifle leaning against a tree. When we were done and started walking back to the car, I picked up his rifle to give it back to him. When we reached the helicopters, I heard something approaching. Not knowing what it was, I turned off the safety and looked through the scope. It was the F-18 jets. Once we got inside the helicopter, I gave the rifle back to Stewart. I said, "I'm sorry if I caused any problems." Ray replied, "You didn't cause any problems, Pete. You just told us what we were about to see." He resumed the video, and we watched as the scope scanned the sky, locking onto the incoming jets. Each jet dropped 2 bombs, and they all hit the compound in a cloud of dust and flying debris. Then the video paused. Ray added, "I have confirmed that the bombs completely destroyed the compound and the underground area we didn't know about. No one has tried to rebuild there since." The Admiral then asked, "Mr. Michaels, could you please tell us where you buried the remains of the girls?" "I'm sorry, Admiral. I wasn't really paying attention. I just dug a hole where I was." "Admiral, I know where it was. It was Pete again." He stepped forward and pointed to a spot on the map outside the building and at the base of a hill. The dirt there was soft. Everywhere else was just rock. Right here, it was about 6 feet deep and maybe 4 feet wide. It didn't need to be bigger because there wasn't much left of the girls. I know it wasn't right, but I said a prayer for them. The Admiral replied, "Thank you, Mr. Peterson. The families have been asking the Navy what happened to their loved ones." "Ray, do you have anything else for us?" "I just have a few other things that might be important. First, we were trying to talk with the new president of Afghanistan to take a strong stand against the Taliban. He wouldn't agree to that. What people didn't know is that the president's younger brother was a leader in the Taliban. If you look at any photo of the president in his office, you'll see a picture of his brother on the wall behind his desk. The place was also where the president's family lived. By chance, the person in charge of negotiating for the U.S. was our current leader. The room filled with surprised gasps at this news. Mr. Baxter gave him the DVDs the day after they were recorded. I couldn't hold back my feelings. That guy knew everything. He used me. Ray went on. I can't say what he knew or didn't know at that time, but he did agree to the deal when the president of Afghanistan's family wanted to put their money into an American company called United Logistics. Tom quietly said, "Oh, no." The room fell silent as Ray took a seat. Even the Admiral was at a loss for words. At last, the Navy commander stood up and said, "Admiral, as the Navy's representative, I believe we have enough information presented today to reopen the investigation into that mission. I think that a group of skilled sailors did what they were trained to do and were treated unfairly for it." The Admiral looked at his fellow officers and knew how they would respond. I want to thank everyone who came today and shared their stories that we haven't heard before. We will meet to decide our recommendations for the Secretary of the Navy, who will decide what happens next. I suggest you all keep your calendars open for October. Thank you, and this meeting is now over. Everyone stood up and walked out the back door while the rest of us sat there shocked by what we had just learned. Ray then stood up and said, "Thank you, SEALs, for being here. Your presence and support were very important. I booked a room across the street for lunch. Tom, could you and Carla take everyone over there? We'll join you soon." Tom and Carla got up and led the others out. This left Ray, Sylvia, Emily, and me together. I felt lost. I thought I was just dealing with one challenging person, but really I was caught up in a much bigger political situation. Ray put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Just so you know, he made that video himself and planned the hearing. There was too much at stake. I should have stopped him when I had the chance. I've been too focused." "Is he still after me?" "I think he has bigger problems right now. The meeting he messed up revealed some troubling things about his actions, and now people want him to account for it. If this gets out, he's going to have to step down in shame. Where can I find a reporter who wants to make a name for themselves?" Ray smiled. "They all want to, but most are too apprehensive to tell a story like this. Plus, it's not your responsibility to go public. You fought hard, and still have your own battles to face, not to mention my daughter. It's time for others to step up for you and many others like you. Let's grab some lunch. I hear they have great ribs here." That made me think of a challenging day on the river when we met people who welcomed us and shared their ribs while we enjoyed some drinks. I hoped they were all resting well at night. We crossed the street, and my fiancée and future mother-in-law were very careful with me. That evening, Emily cuddled up close and said, "I'm glad I know what's bothering you. I can't imagine what you've been going through. But from now on, if they come to you at night, I will hold you and keep you safe from them. I promise. Sweetheart, you have already scared them away more than once. I just never told you." Sharing the story today and showing the video made me feel, I don't know how to describe it, but it made me feel complete again. Before, it felt like I had lived a dream that no one would believe. People would have patted my head and said, "Sure, poor thing, have another drink." But now everyone who matters to me was there. They heard what I said, and they saw it just like I did. It was real, and I didn't dream it. No, sweetheart, we saw it and understand why you have had troubling dreams because of it. Now come here, and let me show you how strong my support is in keeping the worries away. She definitely showed me that strength, and it was all about love. In the days that followed, neither Ray nor Tom brought up anything about the mission. They all had their challenges just like we all do, but their issues were theirs, and mine were mine. Despite this, we connected really well. Emily, Sylvia, and Carla became close friends. Emily brought out the bold side of Sylvia, and Sylvia taught Emily when it was good to be bold, and when it was better to be graceful. I applied for a job with the Park Service, and it turned out to be a great fit for me. They hired me. I could choose where to live since I would travel around the state most of the time, often going up and down the river. I also had an office in Columbia with the staff, so we decided to buy a place halfway between St. Louis and Columbia. It had 20 acres of open land, a pond, and a well. This made our house a perfect spot for family gatherings. At our first family get-together, both Tom and Ray brought several calves to share with everyone. Emily reacted strongly and expressed her frustration, leading to the calves being returned to their owner. Everyone laughed except Emily, who was visibly upset throughout the afternoon. Carla and Sylvia spent their time encouraging her to relax and enjoy the day again. Emily graduated and started working for the agency that monitored the Mississippi River. Carla completed her doctorate and began teaching public policy at the university. 3 years later, during our anniversary dinner, Carla, Emily, and Sylvia announced that they were expecting babies. The guys were surprised, but the girls had planned it together. We got married on August 10th in a joint ceremony. In a moment of fun and creativity, all 6 of us decided to go to Cabo San Lucas for our honeymoon, as Tom and Carla had never taken theirs because of work commitments. As for the other events of that summer, you can find out about them in the newspapers or history books. Half of the people in the country believe it, and the other half do not. The rest of the people don't really care at all. Thanks for watching, take care, good luck.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. **